Is it ready?
It is ready. Hello, everyone.
Whoa!
Yeah!
Welcome to the Inanimate Sanity, episode 14 live stream. We are very excited. This is now the second time I've done this introduction because, as you guys know, there's always a technical problem that happens on our end. But welcome to our live stream. We have a really awesome panel of special guests here today to talk a little bit more about this awesome plan that we've hatched. And I'm very excited to dive into it. Yeah, so we've got the core four here, along with, obviously, the people I mentioned before. But I'm Adam. I put a background image in one scene, and I'm really proud of that. I do some other miscellaneous things for the show. And, anyone else want to say hello? Jump in here.
I'm Brian. I do writing, co-directing. I voice Fan sometimes when he's on the show. Sometimes he's not. But then when he's off, he finds a way back somehow. Yeah. That's me.
I guess that is our spoiler warning. We're talking all things episode 14 today. And that leads into the next spoiler, in which I, Justin, am also on the stream. Hello, everyone. Co-writer, co-director, voice of Knife, Paper, Meatpad, and Friends. Super excited to be here. And who else do we have?
Well, being the last person to speak is awfully fitting, consider, I spoke last in the episode. Well, I guess, no, I spoke in the beginning of the episode too, as Paintbrush, but I'm Taylor. I did stuff for the episode. I did the audio, I did some animation, I did storyboarding and other things, and I voiced so little on the last episode, including that super secret ending scene. Oh my goodness, so
Right.
True.
scary.
But it's okay, because I screamed enough to cover everyone. So we're good.
Yeah, but don't forget about me. I'm also on an
What? Who?
Oh yeah,
Oh my
I'm Michael Rizzoni. I play Lightbulb, but I'm also I'd like to think I was the master behind Inanimate Sanity, but I guess it was all all of us. We're all geniuses.
It is so considerate of you to allow it to be seen as a team effort, despite your masterminding everything.
Yeah. Very humble. Very humble.
Yeah,
Awesome.
sorry, I didn't want to come off too crazy.
No, you're good. So, Rizzone, this is the first time you've been on a live stream in this exact way,
I didn't know,
over
I
Google
didn't know
Call
how to
and
do
stuff.
this. Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
glad we got you set up here. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you got roped in with us in the first place and where it all started? Because it's been 9 years.
Yeah.
Oh well, I think it all started in maybe third grade when I met you, I think, or maybe
That's true.
with you. I think we were in Ms. Zafino's class, but I don't know. I think that's how we met, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. So elementary school for sure.
Yeah, we
No
were
doubt.
we were great friends throughout elementary school and then middle school. But in 8th grade, when we got to 8th grade, that's when Adam, we started watching Battle for Dream Island, and we got into the object. We thought it was like a great show, and then Adam was like, "Oh, he came up with this idea in art class, like, "Oh, I'm gonna create a show like this," and I was like, "What? Are you crazy? You're never gonna be able to do that." It's like, how much work that, I was like, "Dude, how are you gonna have time to do that? It's gonna take so much work. We got schoolwork, like you're in clubs, like how are you gonna have time?" And like he's like, "No, I'm gonna do it." And I thought he was like, I told him I thought it was gonna be gonna be an epic failure, but like it was amazing.
Animation epic failure. Exactly.
Yeah.
An animation epic failure. But it was like the best thing. This is amazing. I never could have imagined it would have gone this far.
Here we are 9 years later, almost at 250,000 subscribers, over 130 million worldwide views.
Unbelievable.
So, Rizzone, you've been Lightbulb since episode 1, right?
Yeah, well, episode 1, she didn't have any lines, but
Right.
I think it was
Not true, but yes.
Luckily, she didn't
12.
have any lines, because then that's why I asked oh, could I I didn't know you just let me be a voice, and then you were like, "Oh, well, Lightbulb's the only one that hasn't talked yet," and then I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, I'll be her."
Right.
That's
I don't know at all.
it's unreal.
Because if she did, then there wouldn't have been any characters left.
I guess he could have been OJ. OJ didn't talk yet either.
Oh, yeah, it could have been.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
on top,
maybe,
I was about to add that the same way that I guess that Adam asked Michael to be the voice of Lightbulb was the same way that I ended up being the voice of OJ, where he was just like, "Yeah, everyone has a voice except OJ. You want to be him?" And I was like, "Okay, well, how should I voice him?" And I'm just like, "Use your regular voice." And I'm like, "This terrible thing? What?"
No, it's lovely. It's the people love it. I was gonna say, Lightbulb was one of the very few characters that wasn't up for the original audition out of the season 1 cast. But I did get to audition for OJ, and when I auditioned for him, because Adam didn't give any specifications, my voice for OJ sounded a lot like this. I just thought there was a very OJ kind of voice. You know what I mean?
I do remember that. Wow.
I really do remember that because it reminds me of like a voice from another cartoon that I'm trying to think of, where a character just sounds like that the whole time, and they are so unlikable. So.
Are you telling me that OJ voice couldn't have been a champion of season 1?
Okay, Justin, I'm not telling you that OJ voice wouldn't have been great, but if anyone could do the voice better, I should have done the voice like that.
Our season winner, everyone.
Yes,
Hi, everyone.
I can't do it.
Before it runs out, really quickly, we got a super chat from Prism Animations that says, "Hey guys, my birthday isn't exactly 1 week. I get a quick MePad birthday message, so I'm just gonna do that real quick if that's all right with y'all."
Please.
Hello, Prism Animations. I have been informed that it is upcoming birthday time. I hear that it is an important celebration in a human's life, and I hope you have the most delightful, wonderful time. Congratulations. Dab, and then MePad dabs.
Well, that's good.
I don't even know how he would dab, but okay.
Yeah, for clarity, we do want to get to focusing on our guests and Q&A. Yeah. So although we appreciate the super chats, we're not going to be focusing in on them today. But for the case of a birthday, like, it's nice.
Yeah. This isn't going to be like our charity stream where we're taking, voice requests and stuff like that. The drawing is kind of going to be a little on the side just for fun. Maybe I might draw something if I see something like a good idea, but this is mostly to answer questions and to do discussions and to feature awesome guests like Michael. And if you do also have any questions, you can also tweet at Inanimate Tweet, where we will be looking for some questions there as well.
Yes, if you have any pertinent questions that you want to ask, especially for Michael right here, while he's here, we'll have a little revolving door of guests then. Send them now. Send them now.
Yes. Well, getting to that, Brazone, you've watched the episode.
Yes.
Talk about, initial impressions. What do you think? Any takeaways?
Oh yeah, this was the most dramatic episode ever. Like, it was great. I didn't think, like, it's crazy how, like, I saw in a lot of the comments, they were like, "Oh, this isn't even this doesn't even feel like an object show. It feels like a television series. Like, it's like crazy. I think this should be like good enough to be a real cartoon show now. Like, this is, I loved it. Like, it was a really good episode, I gotta say."
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really been a goal for us to really nail that down, because I feel like as an independent, smaller production, there is that expectation like, oh, it's going to look a certain way. It's not going to be a real show or whatever. And well, I think that mindset in general is kind of flawed. I'm really happy that we've kind of escaped it in certain ways. And yeah, I mean, from a story perspective, how did you feel about everything you saw? Any interesting things to add about maybe before you even watched it, what you had going in?
Yeah, I didn't even know like how many people were gonna be. I didn't know how like it was, like how long it was gonna be. It was really good. Like, I'm not really sure what to add. I mean, like, I don't really remember before like what I was thinking before it happened. Like, because I don't really remember the last episode. It's been a while since I saw it.
Totally fair.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember when we recorded some of your lines.
Ago, I kind of forgot it, but like I remember when I started piecing things together when I was watching it. Because like sometimes I'll go back and I'll watch all the episodes again just to like get the hang of them again. But like yeah, it's been so long, so I kind of forgot what the last episode was, what the episode 13 was. But then it was really good. Like I pieced them all together like once. Yeah, like once I saw it.
Thank goodness we got the recap.
Thank goodness. That's what we're there for.
Right.
Yeah, I remember when we recorded your lines. It must have been like, it feels like a year ago at this point, was it not? Like we like went to your. Is that when we watched the Smosh movie, Adam? Is
wow.
That was. I'm never.
Yeah. Talk about that, Brazone. So talk about. Okay, maybe not the Smosh movie. That's not really important. But I mean, you can if you want. But I feel like the viewers don't know our process that we've been doing for the past 9 years. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, so I come over. He basically tells me whenever the lines are ready, and so I come over. I come up to Adam's room. He has a, I don't know what it's called. It's like a mic. He has like that cool windscreen
Oh, the
that I
pop
love
filter.
playing
Pop
with.
filter.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love playing with that. But then so I go into Adam's closet, and so this way, so this way, this way, the noise. This way, just to get rid of all the background noise.
Right.
Close. I kind of keep the door a little closed. I put the windscreen up to the microphone, and then he tells me the lines. I try and remember them. Normally we go like line by line, and then a lot of times, I'll try and think of something else. Like if it needs a little bit of a change, or I don't know, if it needs a little bit of more light bulb spin, I put on it.
Totally. And I mean, you probably saw when you're watching the episode, like, oh, wow, that thing that I just randomly said actually made it in. Like, were there any moments where you were like, that was
Yeah,
definitely...
there's a lot of times you just tell me
Yeah.
just get some random nonsense or get some random noises in there, and then like, we'll record like 2 or 3 different options. So this way we're not sure if we want this or this. So then, and then I'll be like, oh, cool, that was in it. Like, because sometimes like we're not sure if because sometimes like you guys wanted me to record it this way, but then I'll say, oh, I like this way, and then you say, oh, well, just try one high pitch, try one low pitch, try one a little faster. So I record like like 4 or 5 different sets, and then normally I don't know which one you're gonna use, but yes, that's how it like normally works.
I
What
feel
about
like
what about the lines that aren't in the script that you do?
yeah.
Oh yeah, well yeah, there's a few that I actually keep. Like I don't change anything, and I just say the exact line. But I try to edit it a little once
A little magic.
I know
I
that
mean,
light bulbs,
yeah.
a trademark, whoa, definitely really comes from you, that you've kept it in circulation. Because I remember the whole part when she sees the test tubes, the rocket falling. And
Oh
then
yes.
goes, oh, the whoa.
Oh, the
whoa!
friendship. Oh, the friendship buddy.
Oh, the flying buddy too. Yeah,
Oh,
no, you
yeah,
definitely
the flying
you
buddy.
totally
That
improv
I
that
did
one.
come up with myself.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I don't remember what the original like name of the ship was in the script, but I think Brazone, yeah, you came up with the idea of the flying buddy being the name of the ship, and we kind of were just like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I
Oh, I
am
can
very
follow.
happy with where we ended up. I know Brian had a really, really good pitch prior as well, if you remember that, Brian.
Yes, that was the original name for the ship was the friend ship, and Light Bulb would say, because we're all friends and we're all hip.
Oh yeah.
We got
Which was
that
a
one.
great
When I was
line.
recording it, I was like, oh wait, I remember that time that I was flying with paintbrush in the mansion episode, in the haunted
Yeah,
mansion.
yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, the flying buddy. And I was like, maybe I should call it the flying buddy.
Yeah.
And that was really, really smart.
Yeah, the
I mean, it was
joke for
great.
it.
My favorite one that you threw in there was when you're like, oh, well, lock her butt up in the clink.
Oh yeah, that was
Right. Because that scene originally just ended with Tessa going, she is a criminal, and then we just cut back to the thing. But I
Oh,
really
yeah,
like the
yeah,
addition there.
Addition.
It's like funny because it's not only like a good joke, but it's like in character, because you were like, oh well, Light Bulb, like she'd stand by Test Tube in that moment and be like, oh well, then I agree with you. Right.
Also,
Awesome.
Justin, I don't know if you noticed, but because you made Knife Kill Balloon in the drawing, I changed Suitcase's expression.
Oh, I didn't notice. Oh no! Yeah, I mean, she would care a lot. Knife, why
I
would you
love
do
it.
that? Yeah, I mean,
She sounds exactly like that still.
Yes, she does.
Oh, Brazone, another thing, speaking of the beginning of this episode, we see Baxter, and Baxter was not named Baxter in the beginning. How did Baxter happen?
Oh yeah, that happened from well yeah, when I was recording that line, I don't know, for some reason I think I just saw Anchorman 2, or Anchorman the movie,
Right.
Will Ferrell. Yeah.
Great movie.
And they have that scene where he's like, "Oh, oh, Baxter." I think it's like it's
It's
not
a dog.
crab, it's a dog. Yeah, it's a dog swimming or whatever. So I was thinking, because we had a crab and it was swimming, so I eventually just like thought of calling it Baxter. So I don't know, because I just thought of that, so I was like,
Well,
we
yeah,
ended
the
up
best
recording that one.
part is that we didn't have the crab did not have a name. We didn't
Yeah, the
we
crab
didn't
didn't have
name
it. It was
anything.
just swimming, and I was like thinking, oh, it's crawling away. I was like, oh, Baxter, because I remember seeing it in the I saw it in the movie that day, or like I think I watched the movie probably a few days before I was recording that, so that's why it was in my mind. I don't know.
The
It
cosmic force
ended up
came
becoming a
together.
staple to the series.
It really did. It's so important. It's been in every episode since episode 11 in some way.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
liked how you had Fan go, "Oh, I see what light bulb sees in you now."
Oh, that was another. That was improvised as well on my part too. So that
Yeah.
was-
Well, a lot of fan lines were improvised too, weren't they?
Oh, no, definitely. Especially a lot of just the stuff of how he's reacting to Egg, or like the "you know me, don't you," or the just like the stuttering to the Prime Shimmer, and like all of those little inflections are just kind of like me trying to be in the headspace of, if I'm really in this situation of like being put on trial by this strange alien race, like how am I going to react, and just trying to panic in the way that Fan probably would.
Totally. I mean, that's what's, I think we've been better about that as the show has gone on, of being like, you know what, this is just funnier.
Yeah.
Like, let's make this work. Let's do this. And it's been really fluid. I think it's helped the show feel a little bit more alive. I see comments where they're like, they feel like real people.
Yeah.
Which is a great compliment, obviously. But it's like, I think that is part of us becoming the characters more over time and being like, oh, they'd say this. This is funny.
Yeah, well, what's fun is that I mean, I definitely don't want to take away too much time from Bazone, but really fast, I do want to say that, like, while we were scripting, were a lot of scenes where we would be sitting down and we'd be like kind of in a corner trying to figure out, oh, how can we get this scene to work? What can we do? And Adam, I think one of your best strengths is basically finding the simplest solution to making a scene work by just having a character say a line. For example, the whole part where Knife tells Microphone to just stop acting like an idiot and have some dignity. Like, we had like 5 different versions of the line that were so much more convoluted and different. And you were like, what if he just says, stop being an idiot? And we're like, yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
Wrote that out, and we were like, yeah, that works.
He just tells it how it is. Just
Tells it how
this
it
is
is.
the advice, right? That's a very nice way to go about it.
You know what I'm also realizing now in hindsight, which I don't think this was a connection I had anticipated, but like he says, stop idiot to Microphone, and the test tube's like, I'm also not an idiot.
Yeah.
Right.
It kind of contrasts them because obviously their conflict. Is there any fan question for Brazone that we want to kind of get into?
I'm looking around.
Yeah.
Well, I'll right now. I'll write in the chat. Hey yo, questions for Michael specifically?
While we look for that, we could do this real quick from Bird Animations. They did a super chat and said that today's their mom's birthday, and could you wish her a happy birthday and wish she sees a shooting star tonight? From Test Tube. Could Test Tube do that?
Yes. Happy birthday to who?
Her mom. Their mom.
Okay. Hello. Happy birthday to your mom. I hope she sees a shooting star tonight.
Very sweet.
There you go, Bird Animations.
I want to,
Great wish, dude.
these super chats are really nice, but we want to make clear, this isn't the charity stream where we do voice requests. Those are very sweet. So, but just make sure, these are for you guys to get answers to your questions.
Yes.
So even though that was very, very sweet. So I'm trying to find some light bulb questions.
Oh, they're starting to pour in now.
They're going.
I'm seeing them. They're really pouring in. I think that's when they get,
I like this one from Roblox Boy Can78. Do you even like light bulb?
Yeah. Care to explain?
Wait, me? Do I like light bulbs?
Yeah.
Of course I like light bulb. I feel like kind of light bulb. Like like light bulb's kind of me in real life.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am.
She really is.
How I am in real life. Like that's kind of what I just based the character. Like I don't know. I didn't really change the voice that much. I mean, that's why I could do the voice and it'll kind of sound like my normal voice. It's just we have to Adam high pitches it now because it's when we started this it was like I was a lot younger, so
my
voice was a lot higher.
Someone asked how did you come up with Umga?
Oh yes, that's a good one.
Oh yeah.
I again that was just a thing it happened spur of the moment. I think I was just instead of saying OMG, I just wanted to say I was like Umga. I forgot what was the first time I said it? I don't remember when the first time I said it was.
Season 1 for sure.
Early in season 1.
Yeah, it was definitely season 1. I think. No, maybe someone asked me a question. I just felt like it would be because I felt like it would be a light bulb thing to say because she doesn't know people abbreviate OMG, so she just reads it as Umga.
Yeah.
She's like Umga.
Umga. I just love that, especially in episode 12. There's that moment where she's like, "Follow your dreams," and then takes a moment and goes, "Umga."
Yeah.
Really, really pitches it.
Oh, we knew in in Lightbulb's trademark episode, you got to get all of her trademark sayings in there.
Yeah.
I'm the chief among them.
1,000,000%.
Another
Wow.
trademark iconic thing. Whoopdo actually pointed this out on Twitter, asking Michael, "Are you aware of how iconic the light bulb eating noise from season 2, episode 3 is?" And to remind you what that was, it's when you get a twig and
The nom nom.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Oh.
Well, I didn't know that was gonna be the. I didn't know that we were gonna use that. I think I just made it. That was another one of the lines. Adam was just like, "All right, so put some extra noise in." And I was like, like I'm coughing or like I'm doing some like weird, like throwing up. I don't know. Like,
Well, I will say that whenever I like go into the voice lines and I'm putting together scenes, like my absolute favorite thing is to just sit down and listen to the entire file that you guys record for Brazone, because I'll sit back and like there'll just be like random takes of you saying the line and then you changing a word or two. And then like at the very end, when Adam asks you, or Adam or Brian asks you to do like effort noises, there's just a lot of like, yeah. Like,
yeah, I know, because that's what he's like. All right, just make some extra noises in there. So I just think of the craziest noises I can think of.
yeah. And it's just really fun because I'll sit and I'll be like, these are incredible, and I will find a way to put these in.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I remember the oatmeal. We had like the oatmeal. That was like the oatmeal raisin.
Yes.
I think it was oatmeal raisin punishment. He was giving out oatmeal raisin cookie, and I actually do. I actually love oatmeal raisin cookies. So that's actually my favorite. That actually is my favorite. So that's why most people don't like it. So I was like,
wonderful.
oh, oatmeal raisin-y. I love that oatmeal raisin-y taste.
I remember you improvised you liked it, and then like the whole beat of them looking at you and going, "What are you guys looking at?" All improvised. It was so fun.
Yeah, that was awesome. I actually also very much like that flavor of cookie. Very underrated.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like people say it's the worst, but I don't know. I think it's pretty good.
I think it's one of those jokes where we were like, what is the worst thing that MePhone could give out? And we were like, oh, it has to be like, some type of trash. And we're like, no, it's going to be an oatmeal raisin cookie and everyone's going to hate it.
So banal. Yeah. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I ended up eating a twig though.
Michael
So,
will eat anything
honestly,
powerfully.
he said
I guess I will eat
not
anything.
spectacular.
My
Um,
gosh.
Yeah, even
I
in
love
real
it.
life, I do eat anything. I guess.
Is that a
I
challenge?
I think one time we went bowling, or maybe I went bowling one time, and I ended up eating a receipt somehow. It was mixed in with the ketchup, I think, or like it got touched on. Like I dipped it in the ketchup, I think, because I had like chicken fingers and the ketchup spilled on the receipt, and I like needed to eat, like there wasn't any more ketchup except the ones on the receipt, so I dipped it in the receipt and I ate some of the receipt. It was
A receipt?
yeah, I think this might have been when we went bowling, or no, it might not have.
Maybe I wasn't
maybe-
there, but
Yeah, it might have been with someone else, but
I may have remembered it if you did that in front of me.
Sir, can we see your receipt, please? Oh, I don't have it anymore. Sorry.
I ate it.
I didn't eat the whole thing. I'm not a savage.
Oh, of course. So what you did was completely normal. There's a good question.
I'm looking for some more light
Yeah,
bulb.
From Lunchable Pizza, Tangy on Twitter, for Michael or any of the other BAs, when it comes to throwing around ideas for lines, how do you get good at that? I've always been bad with improv. Any tips? Tips for improv? What do you think?
Yeah, I guess I think sometimes I use like my favorite shows, or some like sometimes what like I don't know, like because sometimes I like look at Impractical Jokers. That's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'll look at some of that, like the improv, like some of how they improv, and I'll like try and use some of the ways they do it, like
That's where the
That is
clink
a great
came
show.
from, I remember.
Yeah, that's where the clink came exactly.
Yeah.
Because like
I didn't know that.
that was from when Sal's his punishment when he had to pretend he was in prison.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
That was
that was
so
where
good.
it came from.
Awesome. Yeah, I think like pulling fun references is always fun. Obviously, you had "That's no good" in this episode.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah, I
well,
didn't
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
Adam, do you want to talk about that one? Because that was like all you, wasn't it?
It was.
I think I made him do it against his will. I'm pretty sure.
You know, I didn't even know what that was from. I didn't. What was that from? I still don't even know what that's from.
Okay, so basically, there's this really old Sonic the Hedgehog PSA about, I guess, being inappropriate.
Yeah,
I don't
I
even
know
know
that
where
Oh,
Danger
Sonic,
Danger.
okay.
And he basically is like, if someone tries to do something inappropriate, you tell them that's no good.
Okay, yeah.
And so I'm like, it became such a big meme because it's so stupid. So I'm like, you know what? Should just say this. Like, why not? And it was the funniest thing. So we put it in. I think that's literally it. And a lot of viewers who watched it thought that was hilarious. Like a lot of them got it and thought it was funny.
Yeah, I'm not sure that like I feel like it might have gone over a few people's heads, but the people who got it like they knew what it was from, and
they
think
got it, and that's enough for me.
Yeah, if you don't know, you don't.
There's one that I see on Twitter that says from oh, now everything's moving around. From someone named Starry. Hey Michael, what is your favorite light bulb moment?
Ooh.
I think it might have been I mean, I loved it a lot, but I think it might have been the pelvis line with, when I was like, you use your pelvis. I mean, your arms to get when we were playing soccer and
dodgeball. Or no, it was dodgeball or soccer. Which one did she say that?
That's dodgeball.
That's dodgeball.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah,
it looked like it was on a soccer field though. That's why.
Yeah.
Well, we did have a soccer challenge as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because we ended up doing it. Yeah, that's why. Okay.
We did.
But yeah, that was awesome.
I think that might be my favorite line.
It's a good pick.
I don't know. They all, because it's been so long. They all like I forgot. There's so many now. Like I can't even. Yeah, but it's a good. That was definitely a good one.
A lot of light bulb moments are my favorite moments, just in the show in general.
Absolutely. Oh my god.
So good. Brazone, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on for the first time, basically in a very long time, like this at least. I think maybe for like the episode 18 finale, you were there.
Yeah,
so
for a
long.
little bit.
I think so.
Which the majority of this audience would not be around for back then.
No. I think we probably had like 10,000 subscribers at that point, maybe.
Probably.
So really crazy. So Brazone, I think we're going to hop in with our next guest, but really thanks so much for joining. I know you have to go anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously,
thank you
thanks
for
so
having
much.
me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming.
I'd love to be on again. I'm
Yes.
glad everyone's getting to know me.
You're gonna be on the next one, guaranteed.
And again, if
Good.
we ever could do an in-person thing, like I was gonna come to California for the next object show meetup that we were gonna have, but
Yes.
whenever we can do that, I'll be at the next one.
Whenever that happens, that'd be amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I've never been.
We'll get
I've
there.
never even been to California, or like I've only been to like 5 states. I barely ever travel, so.
Yeah, no, the last meetup was that was my first time basically going to California too. So it's a lot of fun. We'll get there. We'll definitely get there.
I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome, and it's gonna be really cool to just have you here. But
Yeah.
awesome. Thanks so much, man. Thanks for coming.
All right, this has been cool. Thank you. I guess I gotta go work at 4 now. So.
Good luck.
Good luck, sir.
Great.
Whoa.
All right, bye.
I'm just see ya. Bye.
All right, I'm
bye.
good. Bye.
I'm just
Bye.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to interrupt, but I'm just seeing now that there's like 2 streams happening.
What? What do you mean?
Yeah. Adam, go check that out. There's like 2 streams happening. One which is the main one, and then one which is just called Animation Epic Livestream. I don't know why there's 2, but there's
weird.
the main one, which has 1,000 people watching, and then the other one which only has like 300. And I think
That's so bizarre. Okay.
it's a little bizarre. If you're on the one that says Animation Epic Livestream, you're on the wrong stream.
Yes.
At least for comments anyway. Also
is
for
really
clarity, Jennings pointed out that pelvis was the soccer episode. I was just thinking about the arms joke in that episode.
Yeah.
It happened in more than one. Maybe it happened twice. I don't know. I thought it was in the dodgeball one.
Weren't they the same thing?
Maybe.
Close enough, I guess.
I thought it was like a bunch of different sport. Yeah, I thought it was a bunch of sport challenges that episode.
The season 1 of the season was dodgeball specifically. So I think what you might be thinking of season 5 is the soccer episode, but Lightbulb like mixes together all sorts of sports when she's talking. She's like, oh, we gotta knock down those pins and get the touchdown or something.
That was a great one. Yeah.
So good. All right. I'm going to check out that live stream thing once we get the next special guest set up.
Perfect. It does sound
So-
like the audio is coming through at least clearly on both of them, so like no one's
it's good,
missing out.
yeah.
Exactly.
I guess that's weird that it made 2 for whatever reason. I don't know.
Well,
Is that
here we are. We have our next awesome special guest here today, the voice of Taco, Reagan Rizio.
Yes, Reagan, you're on mute. You're on mute. Hello.
You are on mute. technically.
That's okay. Do your thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
There we go. I'm not on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reagan, hello.
Hi.
Taco
Welcome,
Hotel.
welcome.
Look at that.
Awesome.
Awesome. We got the voice of Taco now on the stream.
This was a very big episode for Taco in a lot of ways. So I know, yeah, like if you want to talk a little bit about your like sort of reaction to where her arc went or experience recording her this episode, then feel free, go right ahead.
Yeah, this one was I don't know, this one was different to record than the other ones, I would say. Just
Yeah.
I feel like it was fun. Like I had fewer lines than in previous episodes, but I like all of them seemed like, I don't want to say more important, but they all were. So, and I think this was the first one as well that I'd actually read the entire script like the whole way through before I recorded. So I had kind of an idea of like where the episode was starting and where it was going. Because normally the way that I would do it before was I'd get my lines and then I'd record with Adam and he'd cue me in and I just go based off of like cues.
Right.
But for this one, I got to kind of like do it as a whole, like start to finish, which was really, really cool.
Awesome. Yeah. So like then getting the full context, and I know like like you and Adam could definitely attest to this, that you recorded it in a fun way this time for sure. You could speak to that a little bit, I suppose, if you'd like.
Yeah, well he and I record at USC usually, which is always I mean we both went there, we don't go there anymore, but we did go there back in the day.
Back in the day. Oh, so long ago.
Back in the old days, yeah.
For sure. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, but yeah, this time the way that it recorded as well was a little bit different, just because since we don't go to school there anymore, we actually weren't able to get into like our normal classroom to record. So we ended up having to record at his apartment. So I had to be a lot quieter than I normally am. And there were concerns about audio quality that luckily were unfounded, because the audio quality was fine. But yeah, it was fun. It was different.
Definitely different. Very, very different process, I'd say, than normal. But yeah, that is true. I guess normally we kind of took it like, okay, it's this line, it's this kind of setup. But this time you really reviewed the entire story. Obviously, watching it, 7-8 months later is a very, you probably don't remember every little thing comparatively. So what was that process like, kind of watching that all unfold?
I mean, it was very different. I think, it was very different watching it as the whole episode versus recording. Because again, even though I kind of knew where it was going, like it's, an animated show. So the animation, the drawings, everything, like it brings everything to life so well in a way that just the words alone don't do. So that was really cool. And I feel like this episode had a lot of really great, like unspoken moments, unspoken jokes, unspoken big moments, whatever. Like the entire end with Taco, everything that happens there, I didn't know that happened. So that was really cool because I didn't say anything, but so much happened with her character on screen. So that was kind of fun to see. And I'm excited to see what you guys come up with, for the rest of her story, because I think I like the twist and I'm excited to see what happens with it.
Yeah, out there. The videos better watch themselves.
Yeah. Totally. It's very much left hanging. Taco's in a place where her main sort of source of compassion or empathy, her one friend now is gone, and she has all the power now. She has Meepad, she can teleport wherever. It's a pretty scary, dangerous place.
Although to be honest, I like microphone's fine, whatever. But my favorite interactions with Taco are always her with Knife. I think those are so fun.
Yes.
Oh yeah. That's definitely really fun. It's just kind of every time Taco is on screen, and every time I also get the chance to animate her, it's always such a joy. There's a lot of charisma that kind of it comes from her character, and it obviously really, really comes from you. You pump a lot of awesome energy into this character that I don't know. I think it's so awesome whenever I get to sit down and I'm like, oh yes, I get a Taco scene, or I get to do this Taco line. There's a lot of great faces that you can pair with the kind of snarkiness that Taco has in her voice.
Love to hear that.
Yeah, I animated Taco this episode, which I'm very jealous about. But yeah, it obviously all of Taco scenes came out really cool. I think the way the microphone Taco story ended in the episode was one of the things that we probably heard the most from the audience about. That really impacted them the most, which is obviously great. How many, just as an update, how many people are currently watching right now? I cannot see that.
It looks
on
like
the main
1,200
link.
people. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I wish that I was able to, as Knife, work off of the Taco line some more, because the 13 was really, really fun because you did a lot of improv-y arguing lines, and I got to work off of each of them. And my thought process is, I'm gonna work out like a complex argument to like every single point you make here. And then it's a fun acting exercise.
I love that.
In terms of voice acting, I also, in voicing Meatpad, there's also a really shocking, exciting moment there with with character. There's a big reaction to what the heck is Taco doing to Meatpad? Oh no!
Well, that's true. Yeah, no, your characters both have very interesting interactions with Taco.
To which the one of the fan favorite lines of the episode seems to be Taco unveiling Meatpad and going, "Oh no, you murdered him," mocking the theoretical microphone reply.
A top tier line reading, yeah.
Wonderfully done.
My favorite part about specifically that line is also just Taco's response afterwards, which was after microphone then repeats like, "Why'd you murder him?" She goes, "Oh, it's sleep mode, but it was an excellent question."
Yeah.
Taco in that line is patting herself on the back for coming up with the question that microphone would ask, and then saying, "That was a good one," and she just continues on like, "Yeah, I'm gonna give myself a thumbs up there."
It's one of my
I mean, of
favorite
course,
reflexes.
she knows everything. She knows everything that's going on.
Yeah.
You saw that, right there. You found a very interestingly believable transition from first mocking a question and then complimenting yourself for it.
We're actually mocking it
But
and
it's
coming up with
so
it.
believable. You do great with it.
It's fantastic.
Well, it's
I
always
do
fun to hear the episodes too, because again, like, I mean, when we record, normally we do like, I don't know, I want to say 3 or 4 takes per line. And usually like I'll do one and then Adam will give me notes and say like, "Oh, try it like this," or "That's really good, try it like this." And sometimes I remember what the takes are like and sometimes I don't. It depends on the line and it depends on the take. And so it's always kind of fun to see like which ones get chosen.
Totally. And obviously, I mean, I can't even concretely say obviously who picked each line to put in. Generally, I actually am not fully responsible for which takes make it into the final thing. That's usually, it's usually either Taylor or if Brian or Justin do audio work before Taylor gets it. It's really one of those 3. So yeah.
When I listen to the lines, another thing that I really also do whenever I go through lines is that perhaps like a word or two from this line had a bit more of a better energy than the word from this line. So a lot of it is also combining takes. And so, the first, when I end up putting some stuff together, usually I confirm with the rest of the crew. I'm like, hey, for the line where Taco says, sleep mode, I chose take number 2 or something. And unless anyone has like any real like concerns or comments about it, usually we kind of go ahead with what takes we choose. But I'll usually also combine, a piece from take 1 and a piece from take 4 or 3 together to make, an amalgamation of the energy. Which
happens a lot more often than people think, for sure, just in general in animation. Yeah, because you have the opportunity to do that and really, pick and choose like that. Yeah,
I do think that we have some questions for Reagan that we're getting in. The first one that I want to throw out is from Charlie, who is also known as Cake Brunch, who also does the II Comics.
Yes.
Whoa!
Wow.
Comics, yeah. So Charlie asked on Twitter, here's a question for Reagan. What past experiences have you had with acting?
Yes.
Great question.
I got started with acting like in class, like a lot of people I think do. My mom acts, so she enrolled me in an acting class at her studio when I was 12, I think. So I took classes in that all through high school, and I did like musicals and a lot of stage stuff, which was fun. And most of my experience, honestly, is on stage, which is kind of fun. I haven't done it in several years, but it translates a lot better, I would say, to voiceover work, weirdly enough, than like typical on-camera acting does. And I mean, I've done that before too. But the like stage is a lot bigger, and you get to like you just get to be more of yourself without without seeming too over the top. And so much of voiceover is being over the top to like capture the essence of the character, which is really, really fun, because normally when I'm acting on film, I almost feel like I have to like pull back sometimes to like not, because I'm a pretty like over the top dramatic person anyway. So it's fun to not have to do that, and it's fun to just like be able to sit down and just talk to the microphone and do whatever I need to do to like make the take good for the microphone, however ridiculous that might look.
Totally.
Yeah.
To the microphone in present, but microphone the character as well.
Of course. That's so funny.
A great point that you bring up about, kind of onstage acting connecting more to voice acting, because I think we're seeing that more in the industry too, and people are catching on. I know Steven Universe obviously has a lot of Broadway stars that are also voice actors.
Right.
We see that obviously one of the most popular animated characters of all time is Elsa from Frozen, who was the demon himself, who has done work in both, but started, I believe, on Broadway.
Kristen Bell did too, who plays Anna, and I mean Josh Gad. Everyone in that movie pretty much is from.
I mean, you trace it back to like Howard Ashman, who really kind of was coming from a musical theater background, and saying how musical theater and animation have a lot more in common than you'd think, because both of them are sort of putting out a heightened reality that you're asking the audience to accept and immerse themselves in. So they tie together more closely than you'd think.
Awesome. And for me, like a big part of that too is I feel like one of the biggest notes I got like the first couple episodes that we do, and I still get it, is like, do it louder. Like, can you be a little louder? And that's like a note, again, you get on stage a lot. You don't get that as much if you're doing something on camera.
To be louder, like for the
be louder, to project, to talk like to a specific direction, to the microphone in this case, so that you'll pick up all of that.
And totally, even in animation, I feel like, how clearly it's always like the front half of you needs to be facing the audience no matter what on stage. I feel like you see that a lot in cartoons as well, where it's cheated so much so that the viewer can see the front of the character a lot of the time, even when they normally wouldn't. So I feel like now that like my brain is kind of processing it, there's a lot of overlap.
It's the interesting situation in which on stage it's so much of it is projecting your voice, so that like in theory, if someone can't like fully see you well, you're still capturing the full performance in your voice. Got to do that with voice acting as well, because you as an actor, you can't express it so much with the subtle nuances visually with your body, but like, and then with voice acting, you just put your all into it. Every anything you want to get in there, it's all in the voice, and it has to be big.
Here's a fun question that I guess is open-ended, but Reagan, maybe you could have some fun with this. From Lowly Candy on Twitter says, I have a question. What kind of tea does Taco drink?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, that's a good question. I think it depends on the day, and I think it depends on what she's doing that day. So I think normally in the morning, Taco has just very strong, nothing else added to it, green tea to get that caffeine boost, to get ready for a long day of plotting and planning. I think if she needs like a midday pick-me-up, if it's been a good day, she might have like like black tea like with cream added, so it actually tastes good.
Solid choice.
Like reward herself for getting stuff done, for stealing an attention or whatever. And I think that at the end of the episode, after everything that happened, having microphone leave and now having knee pad, and kind of like being happy and content with like feeling like she's won, but also being sad because she's lost her friend and she's all torn and doesn't know where to go, I feel like she'd have something nice and calming, like maybe some peppermint or like maybe chamomile.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah,
those are fantastic answers.
Yeah.
I'd imagine she wouldn't go for lemon tea because it probably reminds her of vomit from the earlier season.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh
yeah. For context, Reagan, in the first season, she spit up lemons all the time for no reason.
The reason why she ate a bunch of lemons for no reason to begin with.
Yeah,
that is true. However, it went on for about the entire first season, and it was all part of a plot to make herself look stupid, less threatening, to sneak in at the end and be like, I'm actually a genius, and now I'll win. Which
100%.
That's
That's
very
what you
realistic.
do.
Taco would enjoy lemon tea.
I was gonna say, in that
But-
case, I think she'd like it as like a sign of her intelligence, and like I see all of you guys. Like, I actually love lemons. Kind of like in The Office when Jim's prank on Dwight is to hide meatballs everywhere, but it's him and Stanley getting free lunch.
Right.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Are there any other really good questions coming in?
I know Latte Buck had asked us a few times.
Oh, I like this one from 42 Starry Roses says, Reagan, if you could voice any other character, would you and who would it be?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Who's losing a job today? Let us know.
Brian, hold on to that question. We'll ask it after.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like so much of the characters, especially for this show, come from the voices themselves. Like what you were saying earlier about how you like do the animation based on the way that people do takes. So
Yes.
I don't really know if there's a specific character besides this one that I'd want to do, just because like it would be completely different. So it wouldn't be the same. That being said, I think baseball has a lot of really funny lines. So maybe,
True.
and I think you write the funny lines for him, Adam, because one of you does because you voice him. Like,
That is Adam. And when Adam does the voice of baseball, I feel like he just turns his energy from like 100 to 150.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It was
kind of
very-
like, if this is my normal voice, I basically talk like this instead.
Yeah.
Just to, amp it up a bit, but it is me, kind of.
Honestly, if you did do the voice of baseball, Reagan, I think you would just basically you'd speak in your own voice, but you'd have to just amp up the energy as much as you could and be like very extroverted. I think it would be really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It was a very big priority for us to get the fun baseball back into 14. Both him and Suke's. It was like, yeah, let's get the energy out with them. But
I like Suitcase as well. Suitcase is fun.
Yeah.
Everyone's typing big ladder in the chat.
What's so funny about
Big
that
ladder,
joke
huh?
is that it came up completely organically, right? Because we wrote in the little one-off gag of him like saying that as a new approach, like, oh, that's how we'll get up there. And then we had the bit with them stacking on top of each other to like touch the ship, light bulb touch the ship, use the electric powers, get it sent up. And it was only then that I remember we were in the call and I looked at it and I was like, guys, we just did the big ladder.
We just did the big ladder.
that went through a lot of iterations. So I'm really glad we ended up doing a ladder, because at a point where like something that's maybe like more like trampoline-y or like throwing light bulb up in the air, like that went through a lot of iterations. But I'm so glad we ended up on the ladder, and that makes for a really fun visual. And then like Brian said, they're like, oh my gosh, wait, it connects, wait. And sometimes there's just those happy accidents when writing.
There
I
really
was
is.
scared of that moment because I'm like, oh, how are we going to animate this? All of them stacked and then a rocket shooting up. But hey, was it TT guy who animated that scene?
Yes, TT guy did that part, and he did so
Looks
well.
incredible.
He pulled it off amazingly well. I mean, it was so. I mean, it is not easy to have all the characters, be very clear like that while being stacked, and that whole action. It was really well done. And Taylor, I believe you storyboarded that scene as well, and it was very well laid out. So yeah. it came out
Brian, I remember you said you had a question to ask.
I have it from Latte Bucks. I've asked this a few times for Reagan or any of the other crew to answer. And I guess we could just sort of answer this in an open-ended way based on what you think, Reagan. But they say that Taco seemed genuinely sad when Microphone eliminated herself. Did she accidentally get attached to Mike? Ooh. So,
wow.
Any thoughts on that?
I think definitely. I think, I think not in this episode, but in the last episode, there's that interaction back and forth with Knife where he's kind of goading her about what happened to her other partner, and she doesn't want to say, and then she finally does. Like, I think that there's a part of her that, obviously went into her, what's the word? Can't think. Went into her partnership with Microphone because she wanted to have somebody in the competition and she wanted to keep working, and she wanted to still be in it. And I think it started like that, but I think working together, like she got attached in kind of like oh, like you're so cute, like thanks for helping me out, whatever type of way. And I think that the fact that that Microphone heard all those things about her from Knife and still didn't sell her out at the end and kind of saw like a little bit more like what she was and still stood up for her against other people. I think that like meant something to her. I don't think she's had somebody do that for her before. So I think that she is sad that Microphone is gone in her own strange little way.
I would agree.
Yeah. That's really well put. No, I remember that was a big epiphany in the writing process of like, because we knew that Microphone was going to be the one to cut off the partnership. Ultimately, we knew that for a long time, but something we came to here was more specifically like, it never felt right if we tried to make Microphone like sell out Taco and like say that she'd been working with her directly. And then that's where the idea of like, oh, it's a voice in my head came from. Because it
She
just
said
felt
wrong, which was one of those things where I was like, she wasn't lying. She just was basically telling fragments of the truth.
Exactly.
Right.
Here's another one that I saw that I really like, which is from Victorial Star that says, this question is for Reagan. What is your favorite line that you voiced for Taco and why?
And Reagan, you could finish answering what you were about to say as well.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I cut you off.
It's okay. I was just gonna say that I think that oh my God, I forgot what I was gonna say. It was a point. That's okay. It doesn't matter. My favorite line actually was one that wasn't really in the episode because it was an improvised line, but it was one of the ones, Justin, that you mentioned, I think, from the last episode where like I improvise something and you respond and we're talking over each other so you can't really hear it. And when I went to record, like there were cues that were written in, but it was kind of just like, here's like some ideas, but like do whatever you want. And so I just kind of kept talking, which was really fun. Beyond that, the sounds, like the sounds that aren't words, but like are just her gasps or whatever. Those are always so uncomfortable to record. I feel so weird doing them, but they're like very fun.
When like she gets hit by the gem and she
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, like those are fun.
Like video game actors, like basically they come to the room and they're like, okay, you're just gonna do like 80 grunts, a bunch of like, huh! You know, like I wonder what it would be like to voice act for a video game like that, like Mario.
Actually, haven't you voiced for a video game?
That is true, I have, but I feel like in that game I was very much like the guide tutorial voice of like go here. So it wasn't really a lot of that, but like Charles Martinet, who does Mario and Luigi, his whole performance in every single thing he's ever appeared in is
I'm sure Taylor knows better than anyone else. Like I flood my voice file with different sounds. Just a whole lot of
Justin's voice files have peaked over like 40 minutes before, and a large chunk of
the last few episodes I've changed that up.
Well, I in the past I've been like, Justin, this is too long, and I have no space, and then there's about 5 minutes of him going like making his knife noises where I'm like, I think we got it on the first try.
I love that.
You have to get the takes. You have to get the attempts.
Yeah, I got all those takes in.
Yeah.
It's so funny. That's so funny too that like Justin's takes will be like 40 minutes long and they'll be all that, just because I feel like whenever Adam and I do end up sitting down to record, it'll usually be like where we haven't seen each other in like 6 months or something like that. So the recording itself is maybe, 15 minutes, like maximum. And we'll end up just like between takes or between lines, we'll just start talking about like what's going on in our lives, what we're doing. And we'll end up just sitting there for like an hour or an hour and a half. And like, we either will be done or we'll still need to finish stuff and not be done. And it's just like, it's a very casual, like back and forth atmosphere, which is also really fun.
I just think that's hilarious. You're cutting between doing like lines in your British accent and being like, Mike, go grab fan. Anyway, how's school?
Yeah. Like, how's work? What are you like? What's going on? I hate my job or whatever.
Totally. I was gonna say we spill a lot of the tea similar to Taco in this episode when we meet up, which is great. Totally. And I think that's really a great thing in a recording environment, honestly, is to just keep it loose, keep it keep it flowing. It leads sometimes to things where like, oh, maybe this would be cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
100%. Awesome. Is there any last question maybe we have for Reagan before we wrap up here?
I think a general sentiment is people want to hear a little of the Taco voice. So if you want to, and anything that saying any line you wish or any like improvised thing. I think that the fans would quite enjoy to hear it.
Yeah, okay. Let me see. I don't remember the exact word for wording of this line, but
Go for it.
I know what you're gonna say. Oh no, you murdered him. Well, I didn't. Have you ever heard of sleep mode?
I
Excellent.
love that line. That was
So good.
by far like my favorite line you did of the episode, specifically because you were like, "Oh no!" Like in this little tiny voice, like you murdered him. And
Yeah.
the animator of that scene was Alan, and he like made her throw her arms around, like, "Oh no!"
It's some of the best character animation in the episode. Yeah, it's really good.
Definitely.
That
Without a
was
doubt.
Reagan.
I was gonna say there's such a great range to your work this episode because you get
Yeah.
comedic moments like that, but then really sinister moments like microphone stops all the aliens flying around the ship by saying we come in peace, and then that leads Taco to say perfect. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
it's
in
true,
reaction
really.
videos consistently when Taco shows up on the ship and like shoots that stupid fan and then does that, people they lose their mind. They're screaming. It's just such a shock. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I knew that was coming and I was surprised when I saw it. Like I think I didn't read it, and then it happened and I was like, oh, okay.
Even I was fooled.
And like,
Am I?
and like
I
at the end with what happened with Meepad, where like all that stuff happens and she doesn't say anything. It's like again for that, I think I mentioned in the beginning, but it's just funny because like I didn't do anything for that because I didn't speak, but I'm like learning as people go and I'm like, oh my god, like what's happening?
That's a thing with animation sometimes. I remember like Tim Allen talked about this with Buzz in the first Toy Story. He's watching the whole part like after seeing like Buzz see the toy commercial, realize he's a toy, and it's all this stuff of him walking around. He's like, wow, I'm doing such a good job acting here, and he's realizing, wait a minute, I'm not talking. This isn't me. This is the animation. So
I can take no credit for this. This is the animation. This is not me. I'm just along for the ride here.
no, but you should take credit because that is what makes the character what it is. So,
Absolutely.
No doubt. Awesome. Reagan, thank you so much for joining us. I think we do need to get to our next guest, but seriously, I mean, you are Taco, and
Yeah.
Let's
you
give
did
it
such incredible work.
Thanks for having me. Always fun to chat with you guys.
Always a pleasure, Taco.
Yeah.
I in the room right now.
Where?
Meepad would talk too, but he's been turned off.
That's true.
He's on sleep mode. He can't speak.
Sleep mode. Oh my god.
I have never taken
Oh, we
such a
have fun here.
delightful nap before.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. All the best.
Bye. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, Reagan.
Bye.
All right. Well, I'm going to inform our next guest that we are ready for them to enter.
Yes.
I'm gonna type.
Keep coming, guys.
Hurry!
By the way, this is like half an hour late, but that pelvis line from episode 1 of season 2. Not
That's what I
episode
want. That's what I said.
That's what I even said. I was like, it's definitely dodgeball, not soccer. But then someone else came in and was like, soccer. Maybe it was both, and that's the confusion. I don't know.
Mystery
Wait
has
a
been
second. Someone joined the little call here.
That's
Yeah,
right.
we got our next guest.
So we have a special guest here today, a new guest. He is our new music composer for Inanimate Sanity, and also a very dear personal friend of mine. Please welcome the great John Meadis.
Woo!
Hi everyone. My name is John Meadis. I wrote the music I composed for this previous episode, and I absolutely cannot wait to write for as many as possible.
Yeah.
Awesome. John, I mean, obviously we have a very extensive history together, but why don't you talk about how you got involved from the first place? I mean, you could talk about, obviously, us meeting and stuff, but how you got involved in the show, like what happened?
Oh my God. Yeah, I was actually going to say it's hard to separate it from knowing and meeting you, though I can gloss over the more personal bits. Adam's been the homie for a minute, but not as long as like everyone else. We met freshman year in undergrad at USC, and he was also a fellow Smash Bros enthusiast, and I just really was on the sidelines just as like a friend. But I'm a classical musician in my own time. I play bass and stuff and compose and stuff. And I was able to compose for his animation film for his degree, Uneven Evan, which
Yes.
is a banger for the record.
And
if
it's
any-
on Animation Epic too. So
exactly. So if anyone hasn't seen it yet, because it doesn't have the wonderful knife or taco in it, it's still a great.
I believe that Uneven Evan, I believe the latest Inanimate Insanity episode got more views than Uneven Evan in about 2 hours. So, but
Oh my god!
still, I'm looking at it now. It's still been viewed over 120,000 times. So that's
There we go. And so I really truly. So that was my first time, I guess you could say, like working in a extremely professional context with Adam, aside from any of the various side projects during school we might have been involved on. But Uneven Evan was the first time where I was like, well, we were like, okay, we're working together. Like I am composing and we're doing this, and I think it went really well. And there were some production disputes previously, and so I was invited to hop on board for 14 and on, and I could not have been more excited to join. And because of the pandemic and everything, I was able to really have a quick turnaround and do a lot with the music, a lot that I wanted to do with the music I was able to do, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure having you, John. Just for anyone in the audience who doesn't know specifically, who's unfamiliar with the role, can you describe what you do for the show specifically?
Yes.
Yeah. Every time you feel an emotion, it's because of me. I'm
I thought my writing was pretty okay.
That was such a good answer. Oh my god.
Well, basically, it's just funny to think about because I look at comments, and especially it's my first time with the show. Period. So on the most basic and reductionist of levels, I am the composer. What does that mean? Whenever you hear any music, in general, with some exceptions by Taylor, like the Prime Shimmer Choir, the music is written by me. However, and I was going to get to this later, I'm pretty sure this is the first time that Inanimate Insanity has also had live musicians in this capacity, whereas I was also able to use the budget and hire a bunch of other people because I wanted to make sure that during this pandemic, during this rough time, live musicians and performers who don't have many other streams of income, they were able to also partake and contribute and be compensated for their services. So it was a nice. So I wrote the music in a very general sense, but of course, as you see in the credits, everyone helped perform the music, from me to some of my colleagues to my ceiling fan. So yes,
Yeah.
which I've drawn on stream already.
Thank you.
we have to explain what exactly the ceiling fan is, because people, they see that in the credits, they see that John's ceiling fan is a performer in the episode, and they go, what do you mean? So how
Please
did
get that. Where is it in the episode? Let us know, John.
Yeah, I'll be quicker with my answers, because I also, by the way, what's up, chat? Hey everyone in Twitter, let's go. Follow me at John Metis on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram at Funky Bass Guy. We're out here F in the chat for Mike. But anyway.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. The ceiling fan. Yeah. So everyone was talking, and I didn't really know the plot until I was hired and given the animatic and given the plot through the script itself. And we get to the alien scenes or the Prime Shimmer scenes, and I'm given music notes of these are like completely new to the show. This is like the egg hatching, like all of this is like completely like not only the apex of the show, the episode itself, but like there's been entire arcs for like the egg and stuff. And so it's like these are important moments. And then we were also talking about like we wanted these prime shimmer scenes to not sound like anything in the show before, because it hadn't really been done before, and it was a really wild step to introduce, for lack of a better word, aliens. And so I was given that prompt of like make music that had never existed before, and I was trying to do it, but a lot of things were coming out too stereotypically alien. So what I did is I had the two cool things that I got to do that are in all the alien scenes. If anyone wants to go back and re-listen, because I'm really happy about this, is one, I literally like took an iPhone voice memo of my ceiling fan, because my ceiling fan broke in the middle of summer. So I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. But also it's making a cool sound. So like, hey, so I sampled it, EQ'd it, which basically means I made it sound really metallic and like pingy. And that's the like kind of like insane or like super claustrophobic sound you get when Fan is first abducted and talking to Egg. And then I had all of my musicians, my string instrumentalists, put paper between their strings and bow over the strings and the paper, which makes a super like crunched and rattly sound that might not be normal to the human ear. And then again, I used a bunch of bit crushing and stuff like that to make it like more digital and weirder and stuff. So yeah, that's the shout out to the live musicians and shout out to the ceiling fan, the true homies.
You guys
so
obviously all did an incredible job. And I know we mentioned this to you kind of behind the scenes, but really, you know, for us, we watched these sequences a million times. And so it's really burned into our brains. But when I watched the animatic, when you first sent it to us, the original version of a lot of that music, it really felt like I was watching it for the first time. Yeah. Because it added such a different energy to everything. And it was wild. It was really wild.
Especially like scenes like, I was going to say the scene number, but no one would know the scene number. When we go to like after the scene of Fan on the ship, where they're first taking apart the vending machine, that little piece of score, I remember that just gave the scene like a whole new flavor that was so exciting. And literally everyone, like I see even in reaction videos, like people like they'll start dancing to it. They'll be like, oh, this music sounds so good. It's incredible. And of course, yeah, the last scene. I mean, yeah, because we gave you basically, you touched on this briefly. We give you a big Google Doc of just music notes that we put together scene by scene with our limited knowledge of music, trying to at least get a sense of emotion. So like with that, how is that kind of translating our weird sort of desires from written notes into what comes beautifully in your score?
Well, first I have to say thank you, of course, because like that is even though it's the joke, you know, manipulating or pulling on heartstrings or whatever, it is ultimately the goal to add to the experience. And I think for me, the thing that actually I realized on looking at it once it gets out is how the scene where Microphone and Knife, or Knife kind of confronts Microphone when when Micah sabotaging the ship. It's interesting to me because that scene could actually be depending on the music, could have been interpreted in so many ways. But because I chose a way, there is a specific like connotation to it, because it could have been funnier, or it could have been more tense and dramatic and focus on the sabotage instead of, I guess, what I would say I did, which is focus on the conflict between the characters. And so it's just anyway. In terms of the music notes and how that translates, I actually just finished teaching like a local course on film and video game composition, and in one of those days, it was the Monday after, it was this past Monday because it was after the show had come out, and the students were talking to me about the processes and stuff, and I had a chance to talk through it, and I wound up, you know, sharing my screen and showing them. I was like, these are the notes that I've gotten, because like I have never worked with such a detailed team. I mean, to a fault, one might say, but such a detailed team. And I wouldn't downplay your knowledge musically at all. I think the references that you gave helped absolutely a lot. And even if like the tribe music had to go the elimination music had to go through a couple reiterations on my part. I think the notes that you gave, more than anything else, even if I ultimately am like unconsciously deciding the feel and characteristics or aesthetics of it, the notes just absolutely help objectively get a quicker turnaround because there's less.
Totally.
The music does not exist in purgatory as long.
Right.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was very annoyingly specific about that one particular track. So I do apologize for kind of.
No, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. I should just like make up a story how you like similarly to what is it like short bully Justin on Twitter, how like, Adam just like blackmailed my family and came to my window at 4 a.m. with a boombox playing.
It wouldn't be the worst thing Adam's done.
Survivor.
Oh my god! I feel like I should tell John the story of Latfall Nib later.
No, later.
Okay.
Remind me, John, to tell you.
Absolutely. And I think there was a question in chat that I was just reading on the side from Inanimate that said, do I play any instruments? Yes, I'm actually primarily. While I love composing, and anyone that wants to hire me can hire me. I am primarily. I am a bassist, both upright and electric. I play piano reasonably well, and then am a absolute hobbyist when it comes to ukulele, guitar, and banjo.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's only for like film score stuff that I find myself reaching out to them. But I've played bass for maybe like 17.
You are the funky bassist.
There we go, funky bass guy. Have me on Twitter. Yo.
You know what we're gonna do? Also, we'll put everyone's links in the description after this is over.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's a great thing to do. So you guys can follow all these wonderful people.
So John, I did find a really good question on Twitter that I want to throw at you, which was, will you have any from someone named Fizzlepop says, will you have any more big hits with any of the cast singing a song? And when it comes to the final song of the show, do you think you might try to get some famous singer to sing it?
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Bangers only. That's all I'm saying. All you get is bangers all day. I would love to. It's pretty much at the discretion of the team as a whole.
Sure.
I'm more than willing. And if the question doesn't come up before I leave, I will get to one other thing in a moment. But yeah, it's up to the team. I'm more than happy to. In terms of famous singers, at least outside the classical genre, I could at least say I personally know most of the postmodern jukebox singers.
Oh no way! Really?
Yeah. Like Juliet.
Wait, I listen to those guys all the time.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Me and I mean it's a normal LA story, but me and one of their bassists, Adam Kubota, were like hanging out at a bass convention, and he like he's the homie, okay? Like let's just put it out there. But it was really funny because it's a primarily classical convention, but of course he is you could say pop, jazz, or contemporary music as a whole. So I had just done some sort of competition, so there were like a lot of people and we were all talking and hanging out, and he was like kind of like alone, which is hilarious in retrospect because this guy's famous. And so not knowing anything at the time, because I was just like, I think I was 17, I was just like, hey, like you should come over and sit with us and like hang out with us, to this random 28, 30-year-old. And he sits down and we end up talking, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm one of the bassists for PMJ, and like come through to a session sometime. And I was like, yeah, I go to USC. So I've been able to, and one of their singers, Adam, was actually a pop music major at USC as well.
Hey, what major?
Two of them were popular music or contemporary music.
Oh, got it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, their Diana Ross style cover of Jealous is my jam. Like they have so many bangers.
Yeah. So in terms of getting a famous singer, swear that wasn't a flex, but it is it absolutely is possible. Yeah.
I'm
Anyway,
sure I would get like a famous person to just kind of come on the show without it.
I mean, you already have Adam Katz here.
We're famous enough, Yeah.
We've had Star Fruit and Spoiled Lemon.
Saying the total drama theme song, I Want to Be Famous, and somewhat there, I guess.
Yeah,
But,
we got Spoiled Lemon back together just for Inanimate Sanity.
Oh
so,
yeah, we did. So we already got famous singers on here.
yeah.
But yeah,
That's my TLDR. Is like I sincerely hope that I have the ability to make all the bangers that I can for an anime.
It was really fun to sit down with John and kind of like geek out over like little filters that we could apply to certain songs and stuff like that. And John knows that like anytime that there was kind of like a request from me, it was always add more strings. I like strings.
Well, that
As a string player, I have that bias too, of course.
something I want to add on is, and I've told these guys this multiple times, and it's very accurate. I have no musical talent at all, like at all. I don't know how many strings are going to add to this amount of time to make it feel this certain way. All I know on like the outset is like, I watch this and I feel this way, or I listen to this and I feel this way. So my notes usually that I contribute are very different than the notes that these three guys contribute
A lot
to the instrument. Yeah.
I was gonna say a lot of my notes throughout the episode came down to more from a writing mindset of accomplish this, and this. Is this working for me? And then also I was a big stickler for just timing of like things starting and stopping. But we were talking about instruments. I wanted to ask, Morgan Sandberg asked, what instruments do you use when it comes to making and composing music? And I kind of wanted to add on to that and say, because a lot of people are very, very interested in the theming that you have for each character. And if you were able to talk about like some of your favorites when it comes to how you went about choosing instruments and choosing sounds that follow particular characters.
Yeah, for sure. I guess first for the question, and a couple of people have asked similar questions as well. Thank you for bringing it up. It's like, oh, like tips on songwriting or tips on scoring or composing or whatever. And it's like, what instruments do I use? Anything that I can get my hands on, like truly. And which is why I think it's important to like I have a $40 guitar, like a I think it's a $50 banjo and harmonica and stuff like that. It's like even if they're trash instruments, they're still going to be insanely better in quality compared to just like plugins or like normal MIDI samples. Unless you have even more money to pay, $1,000 for samples, which I don't. And so any instrument you can get your hand on, and that's why knowing live performers and hiring live performers is so amazing. Or like if you're doing like a small indie thing, you don't have a budget, just having your homies come on and play just for writing credits, because like anything that your friends play as well, just be able to utilize that as much as possible.
Nice.
And then for the theming and for what I chose for what characters. Okay, as before mentioned, I love Super Smash Bros. And also this is for the weebs in chat. Hardcore anime fan here. I've been waiting, but I'm starting Haikyuu. I almost missed sound check this morning because of Haikyuu season 4. Mob Psycho season 2, one of the best of all time. Promise Neverland, best to ever do it. Anyway, so I mean, the new themes were ostensibly Mike and Suitcase, right? And but the themes for Taco and Test Tube were like ultra developed. So for Test Tube, who had and for Funny Bunny, no, not just starting Haikyuu, starting Haikyuu 4th season. Foreign difference. Give me my clout. For Test Tube has a lot of Test Tube has a lot of actually like more intense scenes in here.
I do.
Oh my god!
Right now.
Is this Tube in the room? Yeah.
Which obviously are a lot of fun to score, but that's actually why I included like pizzicato and tremolo strings to kind of ramp up the tension, and expanded on the original theme to kind of make the music. If you notice, the music for Test Tube is always ascending and going up in terms of pitch, which it is always like, okay, it's always going somewhere, but it's never like her music, specifically Test Tube's, is never resolving. And so the only time that you get an even slight resolve to Test Tube's music is when Test Tube, what is it, scene 4, right after the intro,
Right.
when Test Tube like stalls the Prime Shimmer ship and like blows over the gun.
Yeah.
That is like literally the only time that Test Tube's music has any sort of resolve whatsoever. But so it's like both the instruments were chosen to increase tension as well as the direction of music. Whereas like Mike, oh my god, I empathized with Mike so hard in this episode. I just thought it was a really good arc to go through. Like, you have a homie, but then they're not a homie. So what do you do?
Oh, well, you translated that sentiment into music perfectly.
And so I wanted something that could be really versatile, and the theme is quintile, which means it's a lot of open fifths. So if you take the keyboard and you start at C, you go C to G, G to D, D to A, A to E, E to B, and that is literally her theme. And yeah, and you and because it's so open, I can basically superimpose whatever chords or tempos or emotions that I want on it. But overall, since now it's not a spoiler. Since Mike dipped, I was like, okay, well, there also has to be a hint of like leaving, of finality to it, like and so yeah, so that's how I chose what for each person. But I could go on for that for like hours.
Well, I mean, what I loved is that there's a part in the elimination right when baseball is speaking. Baseball adopts part of Suitcase's theme, which I love when he's talking to Test Tube. And there's this moment where Suitcase's theme just seamlessly transitions into Mike's theme. And I remember the first time I heard that, I fell back in my chair and I was like, oh my god.
Mental double take right there. Great.
It's always great with like the different character themes coming together, because I know we had that talk a lot with Taco and Mike's themes, kind of like they're like contrasting. It's like an ebb of, like a tug of war, I think is the note.
It literally was a tug of war, during that one scene where they kind of their themes keep trying to take over each other as they're talking about me pad and sleep mode. It keeps swapping between the two, and it was such a great moment for when I heard that.
Which also happens. This is the thing I love the most, and actually the thing I have to thank y'all most, because it is extremely, let's say, ambitious. And I'll say it for Chad and everyone listening. They were basically like, yeah, we want all of these themes, and we want all of them to intersect, and we want all of them to like do all these things, which is like, it is a lot to ask, and to be able to follow through, is fun, and I'm happy I was able to do it. But I mean, that's happening in almost every scene. I mean, when Knife confronts Mike, but then also, so like those two are fighting and they're like taking over or adopting characteristics of each other. But then Taco's in the background. So when Taco's in the background, we like also like that is, I think, the one scene where there's like all three are going on in unison without it sounding like a chaotic mess, and that was really fun for me. And then there are so many Easter eggs in the score. I got a lot of help and inspiration from, especially like Taylor and Lightbulb's F sharp at the end.
We had the idea that. Well, I'll love to share this because I don't know how many people picked up on these musical cues. But when Lightbulb is left alone, when Test Tube and Fam walk through the portal and we cut back to Lightbulb, a single piano note plays, and we purposely wanted it to be the exact same piano note that she ironically plays in episode 10, but now she's playing basically for herself because it's a single note, and now she's the single note.
Yes.
Oh, that scene still gets me.
It's heartbreaking.
You brought up the three themes going on in the Mike Taco Knife scene, and it just reminded me how much I totally geeked out the moment you said that the knife theming for the episode was loosely based off of Shikamaru's theme in Naruto. I was like, best Naruto character influenced this?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Again, true weeb status. Shikamaru is my favorite character. And yes, for everyone wondering, yeah, I absolutely skipped the filler arcs. Miss me with that Sai stuff, dude. Even though Sai's like stuff was actually probably the coolest animated parts of Naruto outside of some of the fight scenes. But yeah, anyway, actually, I wanted to get to it because I don't know when I get kicked out, but like also, I just wanted to say because a couple people have added and asked on Twitter, what are my thoughts on Test Tube Tango?
Yes, the movement.
I just wanted to say, and I hope people hear it because I see that people are talking about lag. But
I think it's getting better now. But yeah, go ahead.
Hopefully a pioneering chatter will be able to clip it or spread the word. So Test Tube Tango, I am so blown away. I am so amused and entertained that this organic hashtag and movement was like
Came out of nowhere.
What'd you say? Trending number like 45, 46 on nationally?
Something like that in the country. Yeah. Just
Absolutely.
literally just because we just happened to put a shot in the trailer that someone decided, you know what?
Yeah, someone decided, oh, they must be ready to do a tango.
Yep.
And so to answer without answering and to tease chat, we could even put it like this: I am 1,000,000% dedicated to creating Test Tube Tango. There might or might not already be a first draft in the works that some of the animation
Hilarious. And perhaps that'll
make
make its debut on a future soundtrack that we might get to
it
review.
Future what?
so there is, and I guess the only way to know is to make a hashtag Test Tube Tango go trending again. I think it's only
Every
If you
day.
want any test tube vocals at all kind of mashed in there in any way, just let me know. And I'm happy to sing in that wonderful voice that everyone wants to
Just have her scream the whole thing.
It's a voice suited for tango for sure.
And yes, Pog in the chat as well. And then also we've been talking so much about Test Tube Tango. We didn't even mention hashtag Taco Tango.
Yeah.
These are
OG.
Oh yeah, that must have been all over the notes that we first gave you when you first started working.
Yeah, this is we're getting into some deep state, 5D stuff here now, chat. But yeah, I mean these are literally, and I mean this. At least I can say on the musical side, anything that chat wants and anything that the Inanimate Insanity fan base as a whole wants, literally just at me on Twitter and I got you.
You open the floodgates, John.
Run!
Watch what you say, John. You're gonna. I've warned you before. You're gonna.
Yes, no. I had a talk with the whole team because I did all of this. I just love it so much. And then I think one other is from Boba Zeeb. What was the best song to compose for episode 14? I mean, Mike's theme is something I've actually wanted to use for such a long time. So I loved Mike's theme. I loved the working montage music when they're building the rocket ship. I loved the fan goodbye theme, but I'm most excited to use the ending. Like they're really going for it. I'm so excited to use that again because it was just absolute bangers only.
Well, I'll finish off that it was really fun to kind of like work together with you on the end theme and then kind of be like, what would happen if we threw in the little bit of Aces High at the end?
Riff.
Theme.
A little riff. Yeah,
No,
that would definitely be back.
Props to Taylor for that, and again, I guess this is the final thing for everyone. Like the reason I'm so happy to work with Inanimate Insanity, and for anyone who's like just getting into this type of stuff, I think the number one thing you can do is collaborate, and the number two thing is listen. And I mean, it's collaborating with the director, the animator, the voice actors, the everyone, the actors in person themselves, everyone has an idea, and they're all valid. Like they're always all valid. And whether I use them or not is, discretion, but they're always all valid. And then listen to your favorite music, and like listen to the music you love, and ask yourself, why do I love this? What did they do that inspires me or makes me feel some type of way? And once you like analyze it like that, being able to reproduce those emotions is honestly a joyous craft unlike any other.
Very,
That's
very
great.
well put. John, thank you so much for everything. I mean, clearly, as you said, all the emotions that anyone ever felt in this episode is basically solely because of you. And we are, your words, not mine, but really, thank you so much. This was wonderful to have you on, and I'd love to have you for a longer conversation in the future on this channel.
Yeah,
I think that'd be really great.
Of course. And again, my challenge goes out to chat. Name something I can't do. I got you. It's the 2 times Promise Neverland Best Anime. And then I need to actually think about like who my waifu would be before I put that out.
You do that, John.
Yeah,
All right.
meditate on that.
Wait, no, that's not how it'll leave. Okay, bye everyone.
Thank
All
you,
the best, John.
John.
Thanks so much. And now we're going to jump right back in to our next awesome special guest. He is the background designer and painter for Inanimate Sanity. He's actually been on the show since episode 11, I believe.
Episode 10.
Episode 10?
Wow, it's been that long.
Yeah.
Episode 10. Never mind, I am done.
This season, yeah.
Please welcome the great Sean Thurlow. Sean, how are you doing today?
Hey guys, I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Awesome.
Good. It's always out here.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's great to be on the phone with you guys.
Absolutely. Sean, I mean, so how many people are currently watching actually right now? Again, just as
We got like almost 800 right now.
Okay,
Oh,
awesome.
Holy
So,
smokes.
with
Okay.
800 viewers at the moment. I think it peaked at around like 1,200 at one point.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, Sean, thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, no worries.
Obviously we have a lot we want to unpack with you, but I'd love to get your preliminary thoughts really on this episode, seeing the whole thing kind of final.
Oh, man. So, I mean, again, with every episode, like we just keep on getting better and better. And it's so cool to seeing everything come together. That's like my favorite thing with animation is like when you're working on the backgrounds and stuff, you kind of get a general idea of how everything's going to be pieced together. But when you actually see the whole final package, it's always so satisfying, like seeing the animation, seeing the backgrounds. I mean, just seeing everything put together, it always just like puts a smile on my face. Like it's just seeing it come together and being fully completed. So I was just ecstatic just to see this episode just all completed. And that's usually the case with every episode. Like once everything is done and seeing the final episode, it's just it feels great.
Awesome. It's awesome. And it was really fun. I feel like for the first time, because clearly, obviously all the backgrounds that were painted in the like outside environments specifically were all done by you. But it was really fun to kind of work some After Effects in there really for the first time. And
yeah, that was a new thing for this episode.
yeah, which was super fun, and trying to kind of combine it with animation. 2 scenes specifically that I think of had a lot to do with water, where on the dock scene, a lot of viewers noticed that the water actually moves for the first time, which has never happened, which I'd love to talk about. And then also in the end scene, we had also Lauren design those beautiful waves on the beach.
The waves came out great.
Yeah. What's the process on that? Like, how do you make that work? I'd love to hear it from like your perspective. How you kind of arrange the files so that it's possible.
How I arrange the files? So usually with the animation, with other projects I've been working on, I kind of been used to working in layers on everything. So like if there's trees in the foreground, those are on a separate layer. If there's this one area that has water on it, then that water is on a separate layer. And then if there's effect that needs to go on top of it, then I'll create another layer for that. So generally when you're working for animation projects, you want to have as many layers as possible. So those can be managed in other programs like After Effects. There was a studio that I worked with last year where pretty much everything that I did had to be on a separate layer. Like even if it was like, if I had like silhouettes of like plants that were in the front, those had to be on other layers too. So what they would do is add it into After Effects, and then they would make the leaves look like they're blowing back and forth. So generally when I'm working on backgrounds, that's usually just something that I'm always thinking about, is how I can break them up into pieces. Kind of like, when I think of a lot of my backgrounds, I almost kind of think of them almost like Legos because it's all like everything is kind of assembled of different like pieces, and then I create assets for those, which we used in previous episodes too. Like the previous episode we did was all inside of caves, and I remember creating an asset page with that, where I had like different rocks and different plant formations, and then what you guys could do is just take those assets and then we could plop them in and out whenever we needed them. So that's definitely a way that I think about doing backgrounds. Sometimes it's kind of like having it in pieces basically, and then assembling it all together.
It's awesome. Yeah, and you, I mean, you put it so well, but when you had when you arranged the water, you brilliantly put the reflection and also kind of like the wavy water bits on top of the actual like water texture on a separate layer. So when I ported that into After Effects, I just put on a little filter to kind of make it, you know, organically move. And the one thing that After Effects had trouble with, this is actually kind of a fun behind the scenes thing, but it has trouble with pans and when things move on screen. So because the filter is being applied to different sizes at that point, and it can't, you can try to keyframe it, but it's pretty hard. So there's this one shot at the end of the dock scene where Knife is watching them walk away, and he's kind of like, that is the one scene in the episode where the water doesn't move because of that pan. And I was disappointed in this. But that scene received redemption.
It did.
In the end card of the episode.
That's right.
When the animation logo fades away and we finally see that shot moving. And so that was kind of like a fun little behind the scenes thing. But yeah, I don't know if you've ever dived into kind of like the specific backgrounds and talking about them. Would it be possible, and feel free to say no, if you could share your screen and show them maybe and like talk about them maybe at all? No pressure at all.
I would just have to get things basically loaded up. So let me maybe open up Photoshop first and see if I can find like maybe one of the backgrounds that we worked on, maybe one of those word scenes that we were looking.
There are a few questions that I'm seeing coming in from a few people that we could throw at you if you want to answer some.
Sure.
On Twitter, someone named Kaylin Lamb asks, I have a question for Sean. What is your favorite location in the show and the funnest background to design?
Oh, that is hard. So I'll answer the second question first, which was what's the funnest background to design, is what they said.
Yeah.
And funny enough, like one of the scenes that I had really fun with this last episode was the scene with water. And I really enjoy painting water. It's really difficult, but whenever I like paint like a beach scene or if there's like waves and stuff, I really get into it. So as of late, I've been trying to make sure that a lot of my environments incorporate water because it's just something that I enjoy painting a lot. So I would say water scenes are probably my favorite kind of backgrounds to paint. Anything that kind of involves water with it is something that I want to even explore more. And then the first question, the favorite location in Inanimate Insanity. Man. I gotta say that I actually I love the water scenes that I did this episode. Those nighttime scenes was extremely fun. But I gotta say that like last episode, I had a lot of fun painting the inside of that cave, honestly.
Yeah.
There was some like painting like all the cave scenes, and the stalagmites and all that kind of stuff. I would say that actually that's like kind of my second favorite kind of environments to do is like cave scenes and that kind of stuff because of the atmosphere. So when I found out that we were doing a whole episode almost based inside a cave, I was really excited about that. So a lot of those backgrounds, I had a lot of fun painting. That was a really like fun time working on them. But there's so many other backgrounds in Inanimate Sandy that I enjoyed painting also. But yeah, I would have to probably put the cave at number 1.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great, and that was, very different from us because, or different for us, I should say, because a lot of the other episodes are kind of in that grassy plain. And that's kind of something we wanted to play with episode 14 too, where we're like, it'd be really cool to see it all at nighttime in this new updated style that Sean's brought to the show. And I think it came out really pretty. I know something we were kind of battling with was, oh man, it's so dark, because in previous episodes when we'd have night scenes, they were only maybe for a scene or two. So we could make them really dark and it was fine. But for this episode, since the whole thing was at night, we kind of had to adjust just how dark it was. So if you were to contrast episode 13's end scene at night with all of episode 14, you'll see the color design is a little bit different. I know that's something we told you kind of in the beginning, but you absolutely crushed it in that department.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the characters just like pop out from it. That was a big thing. Because when we imagine it, our default for so long has just been thinking of that. Yeah, the grassy plain in the middle of the day. So it was cool. Like, if you could speak to it all, just sort of like having a consistent approach to the style, because we ask a lot of different, whether it's like Beau's bar or like the cave or so many different varied locations, having a consistent sort of style across that, how you kind of approach that.
Absolutely. There was another question I saw on Twitter that was great.
Sure, and I got a couple backgrounds that I'm opening, and I'll be able to share my screen soon. But yeah, any other questions? Feel free to send
There's
them
this
my
great
way.
one from Top Hat the Hat on Twitter who says, "Hey Sean, who's your biggest artistic inspiration?"
Oh, wow.
Oh, oh my God, that is so hard for me to answer because there's so many artists. Holy crap! I would have to like pull open my art station like like a couple. I mean, in terms of oh God, there's so many. So I'll actually talk about more traditional artists probably first, and then I'll talk about digital artists. Like when going to school and that kind of stuff. One of my favorite environment artists, and he actually has a great book on painting environments. His name is Edgar Payne. And I studied a lot of his work when going to college. And I also still have one of his books on painting environments, which is a pretty big inspiration for me. He did a lot of Western scenes. And before I moved to California, I lived in Tucson, Arizona. So I would say that a lot of my original inspiration came from actually a lot of Western paintings. And you can probably see the progression of my artwork too. It's funny because now that I live like closer to the ocean, like I was talking about how I love painting oceans, but originally I painted a lot of desert scenes, a lot of cliffs and that kind of stuff. So there's quite a few classical Western painters that I really enjoy studying those guys, but there's so many names that it would take me I would have to go through quite a few of them. Other traditional painter that I study sometimes that a lot of people wouldn't think that I study them because there's a lot of character art is this guy named Dean Cornwell, who's awesome. Really fantastic. Other Western painter who's just phenomenal. And well, not a Western painter, more of a he was more of if you guys heard of people like Norman Rockwell and that kind of stuff.
Oh,
he did a lot of scenes like that. Yeah. So there's that guy, but going on to digital artists, holy crap, there's so many of them. Have any of you guys ever heard of a guy, he goes by the name of Sparth?
How do you spell that?
It is Sparth, I believe.
Awesome. Let me check him out. I'm really, so Sparth.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I don't think I've seen that.
Wow.
Sparth, and I clicked images, and wow.
Yeah, they're all
Wow.
great.
Yeah, in terms of digital landscapes, that was like the first guy that like I saw that was just like holy crap. And Sparth is yeah, he's a massive inspiration to me when it comes to like sci-fi landscapes. Like he's
Wow.
just insane.
Wow.
He's really really good.
Looks really masterful, and I love seeing the contrast between the final product and kind of his, I'll call it a sketch, but it's really, that could be the art on its own, where he just kind of lays out the foundation. It's, wow, it's really impressive.
Yeah, he was a guy that one of the first like digital painting websites that I was on was a website called conceptart.org that I don't think that website is around anymore, but I remember he used to post in the forums, and he was like one of my first like major like inspirations where it's like, oh my god, you could do that on a computer. Yeah, I always followed him ever since. Yeah, he's just fantastic.
That's awesome. Do we have any interesting questions for Sean from the audience?
Well, I was
I
gonna.
know-
If Sean is ready, I can stop sharing my screen, and Sean can share his if he wants to show some.
Yeah, I got like a whole bunch of like random stuff and
Sure.
some pieces that I did for Inanimate Sandy. So yeah, let me see. Let me go on to share screen here. I could probably pull open more files too. Let's see
Yeah,
here.
while you're doing that, I know there's Fizzlepop on Twitter asked, there's actually a few questions. What program you use for making backgrounds, how long a casual background takes to make, and how long you've been drawing like backgrounds in your life.
That's a great question.
Yeah. So my main program that I use is Photoshop. Even though I recently got an iPad and I'm starting to learn how to paint in Procreate.
Ooh.
I'm a little bit behind on a lot of other people that I know that have Procreate, but I'm starting to learn it and I love it so far. So yeah, Photoshop is definitely is my main tool that I use. And yeah, I love Photoshop. So what was your main program?
How long a casual background takes to make, I guess.
How
was the
long a
second part.
casual background? Oh man, it can range.
Yeah.
I've had some casual backgrounds while doodling that I could just knock out in 2 to 3 hours. And then I've had other ones where I could spend like almost all day messing around with it. Yeah, I would say like probably around like the 3 to like 5 hour range is probably like if it's just a background that I'm doing by myself and I'm just fiddling around, probably about that time. Unless I'm timing myself, I do that sometimes where I do backgrounds and I purposely put on a timer where I'll do like 1 hour or 2 hour basically. And once the timer goes down, then that's it. I'm done.
That's, yeah.
Right.
I mean, obviously, I feel like as an artist, there is this kind of like immediate thing of like, you know, a perfectionist mindset, to put it simply. And so it's really good to have that that clarity to be like, you know, it's a finished piece. We have to move on, and being, you know, really on a production cycle, which is, it's so hard in art, as you know, to do that. It's very difficult. But
yeah, the last part of that was just how long you've been drawing.
How long?
Yeah.
So man, how long have I been doing backgrounds for? It's been quite a while.
Yeah.
I would say 8, 7 years plus.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been at it for quite a while. I started out like my journey as an artist started very like I started with like weird abstract stuff and then I did characters. I guess you can say, I mean, since I was a kid, I kind of been doodling. When I got into community college, that's when I started taking things a little bit more seriously. But I kind of still consider myself like a late bloomer when it comes to art. It was something that it wasn't until after high school and stuff that I started to be like, okay, I can maybe do this as a living. But still, I've been at it for a while. But it's always been twisted and windy. But once I started doing landscapes, just like I messed around with characters and all that other kind of stuff, but there was something about the landscapes that just stuck with me. That I just it clicked with me, and I've always just from there I've stuck with it. Yeah, that's like my main thing. I wouldn't mind branching out into other things eventually, but I think environments, backgrounds will always be like my main thing.
That rules. Yeah, no, for anyone who might be just listening to the stream at this point, take a look at the visuals because we're cycling through some of the amazing backgrounds for the cave that like all on the screen right now.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And Sean, feel free if there's any overlays, you could be like, yeah, this is an overlay. This is what it looks like without it. You know, I think that could be really fun for viewers to see too.
Yeah, so just seeing like the pickup here with the layers, you kind of see when I used to do backgrounds, like I think this is my OCD kicking in, but as a lay, I make sure to like name most of my layers if I can. So yeah, like the front trees here, like this is all on a separate layer basically, and I grouped them. And then with the grass, we have this here as a separate layer, and then yeah, with this background trees here, mid ones, we had that as a layer. So it's on a separate layer. So yeah, this is kind of like what we did with most of the backgrounds is I kind of made sure that they were on separate layers like this. And it's something that if anybody watching this, if you're working in animation, you do want to kind of work like this because there is quite a few people that will be working programs like Adam was talking about with After Effects. And by separating things like this in separate layers, you can make it a lot easier to animate and move things around. After Effects is something that I messed around with a little bit earlier this year, and I like to get back into it, honestly, because animating your own backgrounds is just awesome.
Oh, I can't. It's got to be like awesome to paint it and then on top of it, make it come to life too. And yeah, it's been fun. I know, honestly, I was forced to learn After Effects a lot during Uneven Evan because I kind of like had to for school. And then after that point, it's been fun to like think of the challenge of, I know Taylor had specifically brought up the idea of the water moving, and it made me think, is that possible? Like, and how would you do it? And so it definitely was a group conversation. Oh, this is really cool.
Oh, it's a beautiful storyboard that I did.
Yeah. So this is what I did actually with all your backgrounds, is I took the storyboards and I plopped them in as a invisible layer, basically. So I could always turn it on and off so I can kind of get a general idea of placement.
Oh, that's helpful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And to all the viewers watching, you will be able to see the animatic eventually. We have plans to upload it for you all to see.
Yes,
So all
as
the
always.
storyboards, as always, you know,
Yes.
that we've done.
I know. Yeah, this is a good question on Twitter from Escapism24. You're starting to touch on this a little bit. Any tips for anyone who wants to be a background designer? They said they really want to make backgrounds for certain shows, but they're not really good at it.
Oh, well, you know, there was a time where I wasn't too good at it either. And I'm definitely one of those guys, you probably hear it a lot, but I do believe that practice does make perfect. And it is something that you do have to practice quite a bit. So when it comes to studying, because that's the main thing, is you got to study these things, and you got to like find material that you like doing. When I started as a background artist, what I did is, of course, I found a lot of artists online that were inspiration to me, and I made folders basically of those artists that I really enjoyed. But then a lot of the traditional artists I talked about, like that guy Edgar Payne, for instance, he had a book. And actually, I'm gonna go quickly. Could I like go on to Amazon just to show you guys like the book that I'm talking about?
Please do.
I swear to God, like most of the artists that do background artists, some really good background artists, really, like this book right here. This book, like I leveled up basically when I went through this book, Composition of Outdoor Painting, basically by Edgar Payne. It's a little bit pricey, but this book was phenomenal. When I was a kid, I studied all the thumbnails that were inside of it, and he has paintings as well that I studied. So that was really important. Now, in terms of doing regular studies, when it comes to any kind of artwork, whether you want to be a character artist, whether you want to do props and that kind of stuff, I can't recommend enough that you study from life, that you get outside, and you paint what you see. The great thing about the iPad is I'm actually going to start taking that to a park that's just down the street, and I'm just going to paint the landscapes that are in front of me. And even if you can't do that, if you don't have to paint, if you just go outside with your sketch pad and do some drawings in there, that's like something that I highly recommend, is you just start filling your sketchbook with those studies, and then of course you do your own stuff as well. But there's a lot of different ways to go about it. But when it comes to background art, if you want to be a background artist, just ask yourself like what kind of backgrounds that like what kind of style do you want to do? What are the artists that you look up to? I know that when it comes to background art, like one of the ones that I'll mention that I studied quite a bit was Samurai Jack.
Oh, great choice.
Yeah, that guy that did the backgrounds from Samurai Jack, I have a folder of so many of those backgrounds. And what I would do is I'd open up Photoshop and I start doing studies of those backgrounds. I tried to figure out how they did those things. And I hope that kind of helps. I know it's a little bit loaded, but if you can take any courses that are affordable, I definitely recommend it. I'm actually taking courses right now on a website called Schoolism that's taught by this guy, Bobby Chu, who is a fantastic dude, and he has a lot of really cool, pretty affordable online courses that you can take. So yeah, always keep educating yourself. Take classes if you can, and study from life. And I hope that you're able to get there. It just takes a lot of practice and hard work. I'm not a person that generally goes by. There's a lot of people that use the word talent and that guy is talented and that kind of stuff. And I just think that anybody can get there. You just got to work hard at it.
Totally.
So,
I mean, I've always said that, like, for me personally, I don't believe I'm a very artistically talented person, especially compared to a lot of other people.
Yeah.
And, after animating for however many years, it has forced me to become much better at it than I was. So, I mean, I'm a firm believer in that. But
by the way,
yeah, go for it.
Sorry, the other guy that I was going to mention, this kind of goes back to one of the earlier questions about my favorite artists. Aside from Sparth, this guy also, Nathan Fox, actually. His last name I always mess up on. This guy, if you're into landscapes, type in this guy's name and follow his work. He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. Wow.
That color design is beautiful, especially on that red with the circus.
I think...
that one, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's traditional. So this guy, along with a couple other artists, he worked at DreamWorks, and he worked at DreamWorks before digital painting kind of arrived. He was like I'm trying to think of like a couple of the films that they did.
Was he on their 2D stuff? Then?
Yeah, a lot of 2D paintings.
Okay, so maybe like Prince of Egypt or
yeah,
or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great. That's really cool.
Sean, thank you absolutely so much for sharing all of this. This has been really insightful, really beautiful. I think we're going to move on to our next special guest here. But really, thanks so much for joining. And
no worries,
this was
guys.
Wonderful. And we'll have to have you on a more lengthy call just to go over everything soon. I think that'd be really, really wonderful.
Yeah, that would be fantastic, and I hope that I was able to, help out a couple of people here that I was watching, and had questions about background art. And I have a Twitter account and Instagram. It's Sean Thurlow on there. Honestly, I gotta start posting more. But if anybody wants to ever send me any questions about painting backgrounds, I'm always more than happy to answer them.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I told John this, we're going to be putting everyone's links in the description after. So everyone go follow Sean, go follow John. They're all, everyone that we're going to link today is great. So thanks so much, Sean. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. It was great talking to you guys. Can't wait to work on the next episode.
Yes, can't wait either.
Very excited. All right. Take care.
All right.
You guys too.
Thank you, Sean.
And there you have it. The great Sean Thurlow. Where the train keeps going, guys. Today, we have a very special guest here as well. Very long awaited. I don't believe he has ever appeared on a live stream quite like this, for more than maybe a minute or whatever. But we have the voice of Mifo and 4 himself, my dad, actually, the great Mark Katz. Dad, are you there?
Oh, I can't believe I have to do this live stream now. Better to do with my time.
Oh my God, this is so surreal, Dad. You're finally on a live stream. This is wonderful.
Well, it's about time you guys have had me.
It's great.
We've been putting it off for too long.
Yeah.
We had to give in.
Yeah, really. Your requests were just.
It's so
Do I
funny
have to be in
because
character the
yeah.
whole time, or can I break character now?
You are. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't break
you
it.
are the
Really, it's you.
character.
Yeah. Be
But-
difficult to stop doing the voice. Yeah.
That's what's funny when Brazone was on and talking. Like he's Lightbulb, right? That's his voice. So like,
Absolutely.
it's like, oh my god, that's him. Like that's who he is. You
Yeah.
know. And I feel like you're kind of that way too. So I mean, why don't you? There's so much we could unpack. Talk about just watching the episode for the first time. Like any initial impressions.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, what I find with every episode is every single one is better than the last. And that held true again for the most recent one. And I watch it and I am amazed at the creativity, at the, even though you don't like the word, at the talent level, at the quality of the production. And I know you don't want to go back to season 1, episode 1 and again, but when you compare where you all started so many years ago and just how incredible the production is that you put out now, it's night and day. And I thought it was great back then, but it is just a whole nother level now. And you hear the words TV quality and things like that. It really, truly is. So my first impression of it is just wow, from start to finish.
That's awesome. And by the way, the chat is freaking out that you're here. Just so you
Very
know.
psyched.
How many people are watching currently anyway?
We're about
Nearly
at 700.
700 people right now, Dad, on you right now.
Wow,
So,
one of my
Mr.
bigger audiences.
Mr. Mark Katz,
Yeah.
I very important question. Are you classically trained in acting? Is that why Adam approached you for the role?
Ooh.
So I know, well, I don't know if everybody knows the story, but I was actually the second choice. I became MePhone only because this has-been Christian Potenza dropping out. He could have been MePhone. He could have been going, now time to read the votes. But no, instead it's me. So his loss.
Yeah.
It is
were
so
al-
funny because
thing
the
is-
character really has become you. But no,
Yeah.
Brian, continue.
You were always the first choice to be Adam's dad, is the thing, though. That's the
Ah.
first choice. Yeah.
That's true. Unless there's another story you want to get into, but I don't think so.
You know, I think as far as me being Adam's dad, he kind of had no choice.
Dad, why don't you talk about just because I mean you've obviously been there since I was 13 years old in my room with Derek and Sammy making the stupid trailer, and you know from everything on. So what's it been like to kind of, I guess, be there for that? I don't know how else to describe it. Is there anything you want to add on that hasn't been said?
I have 2 words: sour cream.
Oh my god.
We need
Well,
to
I
get
think
back to that.
More eloquently put it than anything I could have thought of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
thanks
I mean,
so much for that.
That was the beginning. No, it really is. It is surreal. You used that word before, and it truly is. When you look at how it began, you sitting in your bedroom. I mean, I still record in your closet, which is a little bit strange. Right, that hasn't changed. But watching the evolution of it, I don't want to get too I don't know, too emotional, too sappy about it, but really watching all of you start from the beginning, grow up as human beings, and grow into the people you become, and watching the show evolve along with your own personal evolution. It's been incredible.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That's very, very nice to hear.
I mean,
and honestly, yeah. Sorry, Justin, go for it.
I was just gonna say it goes right back at you. I mean, watching the evolution of your performance over the years, you have gotten so crazy good. I think the audience will agree on that. Do you go about it differently? Do you feel like than you used to, or has it just become like something that you just naturally fly into each episode? Where's your mind?
There's a lot of dramatic scenes now that and really sold by that performance.
It takes a lot of work. In the beginning, quite frankly, I was terrified. And even though you're just recording in a closet in my son's bedroom, that millions of people, or at least millions of views, are going to happen. And I was stiff and I was uncomfortable, and trying to find the emotion and to not just recite the lines, but actually put yourself into the scene and find that perspective and have the confidence to just dig a little bit deeper. And it takes time. And I really had to push myself and I had to find that, and it really wasn't easy. It didn't come naturally at all. Thankfully, I had a very good director. I had him beat the crap out of me. No, say it again. No, like this, Dad. And then he would do it, and then I would do it, and I thought I did it just like him, and he'd be like, "Oh, it's not how I did it." So
Awesome.
there was a lot of great direction, and I said, so that helped a ton, having somebody who knew what they wanted and dragging it out of you, but also finding that confidence really to speak with more emotion and not just recite the lines.
It's awesome. And not to get too kind of following off of what you said, not to get too sappy, but obviously, a big part of the reason why this all developed and happened is because I had a dad who was so supportive of me in animation and the arts and supported me along the whole way. And, I've always been thankful for you to that. But I'd love for you to talk a little bit about, what it's like and the importance of supporting as a father, kind of the arts and how you view that really. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, well, I have certainly evolved by thinking because of you and because of what you forced us to think about and focus on. So there's no question about that. Parents teach children, but having children teaches parents a lot. And you really need to evolve in your thinking. And when you have a son who decides that they want to pursue a career in the arts, in the beginning, you have all those traditional thoughts of, well, it's not a doctor, it's not a lawyer, it's not one of these things that you always sort of know are stable and easy to pursue and sort of maybe the easy answer, the default answer. So it took some time, as you know, Adam, you were right there with me when we went through it. But it really was your passion for it and your talent. And it goes back to changing our thought process from, well, that's a nice hobby, but now put that down and go do your schoolwork, to, wow, maybe this can be much more than a hobby. And it was your experience, or I'll say our experience with young arts, that really changed, we viewed it when we first realized that you did have this talent, this ability, and it was something that could be much more than a hobby for you.
Yeah, so I was going to cite it as young arts as well, because I really do think that was the turning point for both of us. And yeah, I'd really pinpoint that. And it is really weird to see, what's happened since then. For those of you who don't know, young arts is basically, it's kind of like Scholastic in a way, where it's like a competition where you submit your portfolio, and they have 3 levels, but the winning level is a finalist level. So if you get that far, which I think is like, it's like 1 point whatever percent. I don't even know the percentage, but they fly you out to Miami for a whole week, and you get to work with actual artists, which I had never been exposed to anything like that before. Not even close. So I think just being able to experience that was really everything. And yeah, that episode that got me flown out was actually episode 3 of season 2, Try Your Best, which has since been viewed over 10 million times.
It's the top viewed episode, yeah. So
pretty interesting stat there. So man, I mean, the chat, there's so many questions in here. Is there anyone want to pull for Dad at all? Yes, I'm going to call him Dad.
I saw one that I liked from the Toon Girl. Said, "Hey Mark, what is your favorite line as Me Phone 4?"
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh wow.
Now let's read the votes.
I had a feeling that's what he'd say. Yeah,
that's a good one.
I have to find my inner Jeff Probst to do that, and I love that line.
It's great. It's great. I mean, that's been happening since literally season 1, episode 2. So it's probably his most recited thing ever.
There's no doubt. And I completely ripped off Jeff Probst. I try to say it with his intonation when I do it.
I mean, Jeff Probst is, I believe, the greatest reality TV show host of all time. And I know many people are going to disagree with me with that, but I don't think it's up for debate.
You see, yet again, I'm number 2.
You pull it off. You pull it off, Dad. I mean, amazingly. So it's awesome.
And he's yet to send us a cease and desist letter, which just shows he's a really nice guy. Yeah.
Imagine it like comes on the hidden immunity idol paper. It's like, hey, cease and desist.
I'm pretty your show. Time to go.
Yeah. Reminds me of Dad when we sent that generator company. Like we threatened to send them a cease and desist. with.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, because they used light bulb, didn't they?
Yes.
And as we all know, you invented light bulbs. Adam.
Yes. As we
Yeah.
know.
There you go. I invented light bulbs. It's awesome.
Someone on Twitter named Melon asks, who is Mark's favorite contestant from each season?
Oh, that's a great question.
So, I would say there are two of them. I don't know if I can narrow it down to just two, but definitely the original Taco still remains in my heart.
Oh,
One of my favorite characters ever, in part because, of course, Taco just had the classic catchphrase of sour cream, which I still love, and happened to have been voiced by my daughter. So at least that line was.
Yes.
at least
Still always have loved Taco. And I would probably my second favorite character, it's a tie between Lightbulb, because Bruzone is just so funny as Lightbulb.
Right, totally.
Absolutely nails it. But also Knife.
Yeah.
There's something amazing, and this goes back to the very, very beginning, but something amazing about Justin Chapman voicing Knife. And then the time that I met Justin in person, and I was like, there is no way he's the voice of Knife.
Why is that, Mark?
Because usually voice actors, at least to me, you hear their own voice in the character's voice.
Right.
Like when you watch, all these professional actors who voice act, you can usually tell who it is.
Right, like
oh,
Elsa from Frozen is Adina
voice
Menzel,
acting
like
as the Pelican or whatever.
I mean,
Sure.
you mean Adele Dazeem.
Adele Dazeem,
That's
right?
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, got the name right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there's always some connection where you can kind of hear it, and sometimes it's really obvious, sometimes maybe a little less so, but you can usually find it in there. And, Justin, you just take on this persona of Knife that to me is just amazing.
Been a blast, Mark. Thanks for the kind words. I mean, thank you so much.
Yes,
Thanks. I mean, you can
Justin.
see the
Yes, it
contrast.
has.
I mean, it's awesome. It really is awesome. And
Thank you.
And unnatural, very unnatural.
No.
Right.
I went
There
for
are
it.
so many. I mean, so many great characters. Bo was an amazing character.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really, always loved Bo. And Fan,
Oh.
cracks me up in every single episode.
because he's Brian. I mean, that's the thing too. It's like, a lot of these characters are breathed into by the actors themselves, and it makes them who they are. And I feel like Fan is Brian, Lightbulb is Brazone, you're Mifo. You know what I mean? And that's what's so cool about it.
Absolutely. When Fan gets excited and Brian really gets going, it's amazing.
Literally. Man, yeah.
Oh yes. Fan's an inevitable guy.
Right.
Wow. We have still a lot pouring in.
But
Oh, yeah, go for it.
It would be the original Taco and Knife.
Yeah.
Those
Great.
are some great choices.
That's awesome.
I'm looking around for some more questions, but I do have to say that I've known Adam and I've known Mark like since before I even started. But still to this day, like anytime I'm either over at his place or I hear Mark over the phone, like it's somewhat unnerving or intimidating that it's just you got the Mark Katz in your presence at the moment, the voice of Me Phone 4, and there's a certain like boominess to your voice that I think comes out every single episode, and especially in recent episodes when Me Phones gets a little more agitated and it gets a little darker or something like that, you really start to hear the emotions fly out a little bit more.
Definitely.
I always had this sense, Tail, that I intimidated you, but I.
I mean,
Area's strong presence. It's great.
voice contest. There's just nothing I can do.
There you go. I mean, yeah, besides all the people in the chat saying that the live stream is lagging because of my terrible internet here in LA, which it should go away in like literally a second.
And
but
when the video's finalized, it should be all fixed.
Yeah.
yeah, which is great. But
if you refresh the page, that usually helps.
yes,
Yeah.
refresh if it's lagging. It'll probably fix it. Is there any other question, from Twitter that maybe we could throw his way?
I mean,
Go ahead, Brian.
I was gonna say, well, there's a lot of comments, of course, about best dad ever, very wholesome. But I'll add this on a total other note. We'll give them the power, and we'll read this out. This is from Slightly Leo saying, "Please get Mark to say, 'Are you winning, son?' and have Adam respond with a random line from season 1." I think we should do that.
Wait, repeat that line, Brian.
So this is a fun meme on Twitter where they want you to say, "Are you winning, son?" and then Adam, you could respond however you wish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it, Dad.
Son.
Sorry, dude. I just couldn't hold that one in.
No!
Great.
What a wonderful throwback to a melted chocolate bar.
Yeah.
Which is the only line in that episode my dad was like, "You need to put this line in." By the way, that's why I chose that one.
Mark, you've made dreams come true.
Yeah,
Do you remember that, Dad? Do you remember it?
I do remember it very well, and I also remember I had a lot of really bad ideas that you said no to, thankfully.
I remember, yeah, there were a lot of them that were really bad in hindsight. That, like, thank God we didn't do them. But that one was a fun one because we kind of went back to it to confirm, because everyone's like, "Ew, Nickel pooped on baseball," but then like in episode, was it season 2?
Yeah. It
He's
was
like,
the
"Sorry,
the corresponding episode of the season. Yeah.
I have all these chocolate bars and they keep melting. I'm so sorry."
Nicholas
Right.
really likes chocolate, and he always has it on his person.
That's right.
True.
Here's another Twitter one from Octoflower Y, asking Mark, "What's your opinion on the evil corn man?"
Oh wow.
I assume that refers to the
referring to Steve Cobbs, which me had a prevalent episode with last time around, if you recall.
He certainly did.
Yeah.
A prevalent childhood with, rather. Yeah.
So I obviously love the show, and you guys have had so many creative moments in it that really just blew me away. But I still think that Steve Cobbs made the single best character isn't a contestant on the show. And
Really?
to take the whole rift on Steve Jobs and you make him this evil guy, it is so I'm a huge fan of Steve Cobbs.
So very much the flip of your character. But understandably.
Yeah, and I thought it just, I remember the first time that Steve Cobbs showed up on an episode, and I just heard it like, that you were creating Steve Cobbs, and it killed me. I thought it was so funny.
I mean,
And
totally.
I was sure that Steve Cobbs was in the Flying Saucer, by the way.
Oh, yeah, well, misdirection.
Meatbone was sure about it too. So yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So remember, when I do my lines, I only get my lines.
Right.
So he gives me direction. He sets the scene, so I have some understanding of what's happening, so I can get the the right emotion. But I don't really know the story until I watch it with everybody else.
Totally. I mean, yeah, and I don't know. Do we do that just to make it more simple for you? Is it to save time, or do you not want to know what happens in the episode?
No, I think it's really a time issue because you have to stay on schedule, and I've got to record my lines, and we just tick through it so we can get it done. And things have changed over the years, but in the beginning, you guys had a real rigid schedule, and you were pumping out episodes, fairly regularly. So keeping the pipeline moving and getting my lines done and getting everything into production was much more important. So I suppose now we could slow it down, but why mess with a good thing?
Yeah,
Totally.
On that note, there's a question on Twitter from someone named Bobazid who asks, "What episode does Mark like the most, me phone wise?"
Oh wow.
Oh, probably the one when I was in jail.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I don't know if you still have it on the cutting room floor, but I sang in that episode.
Oh, we have that. We have that.
Oh, we do have that.
But it never made it into the episode.
Really? I don't remember this.
I don't remember it either. I'm
No,
fascinated.
isn't this the swing low thing?
Oh, was this a blooper? Oh,
Right.
Come on.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
we
my
have
god! Wait, I actually do remember this because I remember looking through the files and finding there's this one part where Mark, you just started singing "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot," and it's really, really good.
Yeah.
I was in jail and I was going swing low, sweet chariot.
There it was.
It was real method acting. Like you actually went to prison for that episode, right?
I felt it.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, no, that was a great episode. That was season 2, episode 7. I think that was probably I rewatched that episode recently, and it's probably partially like a large part nostalgia for me to go back and watch it, but it's pretty funny, honestly. A lot of it like makes me laugh.
Oh, I love that one. It has every character has a part in it, which is also really nice.
It is. I love when Dad, you're like, all I did was lock some people up in a room.
Yeah.
Whoa. For how long? Several months, give or take.
Just all these convicts are horrified. Yeah.
And they
Right.
finally call you out. Like the convicts are the ones to call you out. That's what's so funny about it.
Yeah.
No one else has brought it up.
I think my personal favorite, like Miphone performance moment, was certainly in the following episode when Miphone is like sick and glitched, and he comes on stage, and you're just like tired, and you don't want to be there. Like you have this funny energy to it. I love that moment.
Oh,
I like the episodes where I get to be sarcastic, probably more than anything else.
That's
I certainly don't mind the ones where I have to be more emotional or get in touch with different emotions, but the sarcasm ones are the ones that I think I enjoy performing the most.
I mean, if you guys know my chronic sarcasm, that comes from somewhere. So
Right, of course.
An inherited gene. Yeah.
I love it. An inherited gene for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. There's so many comments flying around right now. I know we only have a few more minutes.
Oh, I like this question from Nanini. What's Mark's favorite type of cookie?
Oh,
Come on now, chocolate chip.
There we go. Classic.
there you go.
Classic. I felt like that was probably going to be the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a fun thing in our family, but pretty much all of us, all 4 of us, love anything with chocolate and peanut butter in it. That's basically a fact.
Ooh, yeah.
It's basically our favorite thing.
Yes.
I mean, I was lucky enough to one time have one of Mark's like famous like smoked steaks or something, or smoked barbecue or something.
Oh, ribs.
Yeah. The ribs.
Ribs, that's what it was.
So good.
Oh,
Those
tell us what it tastes like.
Oh my God. Yeah,
I'm gonna have
Dad,
to make
that's the hardest part for me, because I haven't had red meat in 3 years, which I know you're like, it's so stupid, which is fair. But I miss ribs. I do. That's like the one thing I'm like, I want ribs.
I know. Well, maybe I can make a Beyond Rib.
Ooh, that'd be great. That would
Wow.
be wonderful. California got me, Dad. It really did.
It really
It's unfortunate.
Like the McRib. I don't think there's any actual meat in that.
I would imagine not. No, very, very low quality. Also,
Not
John
sponsored.
says hello to you, by the way. Again,
John who?
Oh, this is
John Meadis.
Oh, John Meadis. Is he listening? A shout out to John.
Yeah, he's here. He's in the chat.
So everybody probably knows I've got some nicknames for some of the cast and crew. So John Meadis is not one of the cast or crew. He will always be Pancake John to me.
Do you want to?
why don't you run down a little bit of what the nicknames are?
I don't know.
That's okay. We got to keep it PG here and keep family friendly. So
I can't say all of them, but I can say bottoms.
We did get someone was tweeting about bottoms as a question, so it's definitely caught on. It's caught fire.
I'm glad it has. That's the one thing I was hoping for.
Yeah.
I mean, Bottoms
know,
made
but-
an appearance in on my Twitter account. In my dad's request for our charity live stream, I drew Bottoms as a character.
Right.
Yes.
No, that's true.
There
Yeah,
you
they're
go.
canon now. Yeah.
They're
I
canon.
still don't have my drawing, by the way.
No, so because I haven't seen you basically the entirety of 2020, which is really sad. The next time I see you, you'll get it. So we're gonna make it that way.
You got it.
So there you go. I'm hoping December. That's what I'm hoping I can come back to New York, which is really insane.
Yeah, this is the longest I haven't seen you. I know that for a fact. It's been over a year now in person, which is crazy.
Did I not see you in January?
I don't. Did you? I don't think you did. I think the last time I saw you was the meetup. No. Oh no, of course, the New Year's. Duh.
Yeah, I think I saw you in January. I saw all of you in January. I mean, I saw all of you guys at around the same time, which is
okay. Yeah, so it's been more like 8 months then, which is still ridiculous.
It's still long. Yeah, it's crazy. What a wonderful world we live in now. It's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Dad, is there any like anything you want to get in here in these last few minutes? If you want to touch on anything that maybe hasn't been said at all, or
The only thing that I would say, if this is my last few moments here in closing, is I'm honored to be a part of the show. It started off rough. I got sort of forced into it because I had to step up when there was a need. But I love doing it. I love voicing MePhone. I love being a part of it. You guys are all amazing. The fans are incredible. The support that exists for the show is really beyond anything I ever could have imagined. And I just hope that you all keep doing what you're doing, because you bring a lot of joy to so many people.
Hey,
thank you so much. That is very, very hard. And it is, I mean, a huge part to you for, really keeping me going and supporting me throughout all of this. And, really from that Young Arts moment being like, okay, this is it, this is the path. We gotta go full speed, because that means just so much. I actually coincidentally watched the episode of Glee yesterday. I've been doing a rewatch where Mike Chang wants to be a professional dancer, and his dad is like, "Son, you cannot do that."
Right.
Yes. I don't. Dad, do you remember that episode at all? I don't know how much.
I do.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of us, which is kind of cool.
There you go.
Except you were never against it in that way, but
yeah,
just in the same way of like, this is it. We're gonna commit, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Once you were in, you were in. I mean, to get from where you were, which was, no portfolio, no art, no professional training, to flip that switch and go from your moment of Young Arts to putting together a portfolio, to applying to colleges, to getting into schools and really pursuing your dream is pretty incredible. That all that happened in 18 months from start to finish.
Right, which is so wild. And now I'm 23 now, which is so weird. And now I have a job, and I'm like old. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I got nothing. I'm out of words.
Yeah, amazing stuff. But again, just getting back to the team here, you guys are great. You guys are really great, and I'm honored that you let me play some small part in it.
Well, it's the core. It's the host. It's the icon. So
you're the face of our show, literally.
Yeah, the face of the show. That's the way.
Literally, yeah.
So, Dad, thank you so much.
If you ever do get on Survivor, I know you're going to keep trying, and you do stay around long enough to get to the family visit, then I would get to come to wherever in the world you are and actually meet Jeff Probst.
Oh my gosh.
That needs to happen.
That'd be wild. Well, I'm going to do my best. If I get on the show, I'm making it to the end, no question. And the thing is, like, I'm very happy I didn't apply for this cycle, because all of the cast got flown out to Fiji, and then they were like, whoa, we are not letting Americans in our country, and they kicked them out. So I'm pretty happy that I didn't have to go through that. That would have been terrible.
Here's the big question. If all that happened, do you think Jeff would let me read the votes?
Oh my God.
That would be
First
wild.
time ever, someone else is reading the vote.
It's like meant to be.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff's kind of gotten more experimental with things, like in Winners at War this season. I think the whole cast went up to hug him and stuff, and he was fine with it. So he's played around. So maybe by that point, if the storyline of me on the show is my dad voices Jeff Probst on my cartoon, then maybe it'll happen. Who knows?
Maybe he'll pick up a torch and pass it to you, a literal torch.
Crossover episode. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Hey,
thank you so much for coming, Mark. I don't everyone has been so freaked out that you joined. By far, it's been so amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, the show always is about the audience and the fan support, right? So
yes,
you deserve it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate you coming in here, and I'll call you after the stream.
Hey, one last quick thing.
Yes.
The name of that pink iPhone that was in one of the episodes.
Oh, Me Phone 5C.
5C.
Yeah.
It was 5C, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 5C is here to give you a quick shout out.
Hi, boys.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh my God.
Hi, Mom.
Hi. Miss you all. You doing
Aw.
Oh, it's so great to hear from you.
Oh, it's so nice.
That was so nice. Oh, what a lovely little cameo.
Awesome. We just need Isaac on here, and we'll have the whole shebang going.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we gotta get Isaac. We gotta get 5S. Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh my God, I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. The whole chat's like, Adam's mom.
Blowing up.
That's
My
so funny.
goodness.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I'll call you after the stream, I promise.
Okay, guys. Well, time for me to go because the tribe has spoken.
Hey.
Awesome.
Oh, take care,
So
Mark.
many references. This is great.
This is wonderful.
Take care, Dad.
Bye, Mark.
Awesome. And there you have
Reminder
it. The
to
great.
everyone: call your parents.
That's true.
Yes, call your parents and
In like
Parents-
maybe a half hour though.
Yeah. No, not now.
Yeah,
Not
we still got a little bit of time here where we're now it's us. Now we're the ones who are in we're the ones in control now. What was the line that fan says? We're the
now.
masters
We're the
of
master of
our
our
own
own fate now.
We were considering putting that in the trailer for a while as like a fan question mark, but like I think we made the right move, letting that be a surprise.
Well, that
Um,
was another fun thing. That fan is technically in the trailer because his hands coming for the egg, but you just didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we never really broke down what was going on with the trailer, where our mindset was on that, and that's not the only fan cameo. You hear his voice glitching towards the end of the video,
Yes.
and I don't think anyone calls it out or like attempted to analyze if there was a
Well,
voice
it was
glitching
kind
there.
of specifically subtle. So
It was
No,
very subtle.
it's intentionally so, but I don't recall anyone like going back and be like, wait a second, they used the
Yeah.
fan noise at the end. You hear his voice going, ah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
For clarity, everyone, we're probably gonna be wrapping up in about 25 or so minutes, and for the time being, we got the 4 writer-directors right here, ready to answer any and all 14 questions, and any other questions that you may or may not have.
That's right. We're here. Throw them at us. You can, again, tweet at us at Inanimate Tweet or just ask us in the live chat. Obviously, it's moving kind of fast, so we're going to really try to pick them out. But, we super appreciate the support. I mean, just to get on episode 14 for a second, just seeing it be so far and away the most immediately supported video in the history of the show is pretty exciting. I know Brian has actual numbers, but
Yeah, well, the really cool statistic was that not only was the launch day for the episode the biggest day for our channel ever in terms of views, but also the second and third days were the second and third biggest days for our channel ever, which is crazy.
That part blew my mind.
Yeah,
Even the third day was bigger than the last biggest launch day for an episode. So guys, it was overwhelming. Like the support. Really, thank you. It means so much. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
it's such a hard thing to put into words because I know we poured so much of ourselves into this show, but this episode in particular, there's so much stuff that we couldn't talk about and that had been leading up to it for years. And so, to finally, after all of that time, it's just out. And then at that point, it's completely out of your hands, and you just see an outpouring of response to it, whether that be good or bad. It's really crazy in a weird way. And so I was on my laptop the entire day the episode came out, just really like looking at everything, kind of almost to my own detriment. And so, I mean, obviously most of it was good. So, but even if it was bad, really, thank you guys so much. Can't say that enough.
I mean, even just simply watching, we put our stuff out there. We're not the most popular channel, but that's okay. We really, really do it because we love writing these stories. We love these characters. We really love, I don't know, collaborating with each other and to share our work with you guys and get even all these responses. I'll just quickly share that the day that it came out, I was trying to keep up with all the conversation and all the fan art and all the egg sonas that were being made, which are
Yes.
amazing, by the way. And like I remember like the day before, I was nervous because, like Adam said, we had been working on this for months, to a year or so, and to have it finally be done and just release it into the world and for everyone to see your work, it was a little scary, and there was so much support and so much lovely feedback that I mean, I think we have like one of the best the best communities like ever. It's so amazing.
We really do. I mean, getting to like, I think we peaked at number 4 trending topic on Tumblr in the country.
Yeah,
which was
we did.
insane. And like, yeah, no, speaking of what you said, like this is the longest, I mean, it was the longest hiatus between episodes that we've had since the show started, really, come to think of it. And we were working on it for so long. And it's not until like I knew like I was really happy with the direction it had taken and how it was shaping up to be, but it's not until like I'm editing it together, I'm piecing together each scene, we're watching like test versions of it, looking for like little glitches and stuff. Finally, like the first time I was able to like kind of just sit down and watch it just like as an episode, like from the perspective of an audience member. That's when I was like, oh wait, no, this really is like not only like the I think the best episode we've done, but the proudest I've been of like anything I've worked on. I think it's so I'm like awestruck by how it all came together.
I mean, without a doubt. I mean, that can't be said enough. And it's just, you know, as my dad kind of said, it's so cool to see where it's evolved and how it's kind of stacked on top of each other in this very organic way. It's really interesting. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking around for Q&A. Justin, I know you haven't had the chance to speak. I know that we want to kind of like go to Q&A, but is there anything?
I've just been absolutely blown away by the reception. The coolest, it's a slight hindrance, but the coolest thing of all about the community is that it is impossible to keep up with what everyone has to say about the episode. I can recall back in jump back to like 2011's show first starting, and like if we got lucky, we'd be like, oh, we got a single person who drew fan art of a character at some point, and we got like 5 new comments. This is good. This is a wild week. And just to be at the point where I love the artistic conversation that you can have with an audience, where we've been holding in this information for years.
Yeah.
So to be able to give our half of a conversation, just all of a sudden the deadline came up real quick, at least in the final days, and then getting so much response back. It's so weird throwing your voice kind of into the void only for like the echo to come back to you way later with so much more information, and just the absolute overwhelming positivity has been absolutely astounding. Quite honestly, I'm reading through comments and all I could do is quite honestly think about 15. So
yeah,
in my head there is no break. It's just want to do more and more and more, and it's all thanks to the fan base that draws me into that. Thank you so much.
15, yeah. You know, we usually take, I know this is probably going to be one of the questions that everyone wants to know is like, you know, when do we start on 15? And we usually take a small break, you know, after an episode releases, you know, catch our breath, you know, go back to the real world for a little bit, even though real world kind of sucks right now.
Yeah, what real world? Yeah.
But you know, we're gonna be starting on 15 soon. I know that this is probably the biggest FAQ, which is, you know, what about 15? When's 15 gonna start?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we have a plan for 15, not a full plan, but we have a plan. And this isn't okay. I can't really say that this is a spoiler, but the biggest thing I can say for 15 is that it's gonna be fun. That's the thing that I'm excited for. Fun. That's the key word that you can take away. And I kind of feel like I can't say anything more.
It's for sure, and I think this goes for pretty much every episode, like 10, 11 on, where we have been really diving into each episode as a big individual project.
Right.
15 is definitely intended to have its own specific identity to it. I was gonna say this a similar thing with Sean, because I was gonna talk about how every episode prior like has a distinct look to it. But like 15 specifically, in terms of how we go about the process in writing it and conceptualizing in tone specifically, very specifically distinct. And I'm very excited to share more down the line.
Yeah, I'll say like, and you won't know what this means till you see it, but I'll say a back to basics vibe. I think that is something that you can,
With a few asterisks, but yeah, I see,
definitely
yeah.
asterisks, definitely asterisks on that. But at least from MePhone's perspective, that's for sure. So go ahead, put that on the wiki.
I think that's like the furthest we can dip our toe into speaking about.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all you get.
Yeah. But on top of that, I think we can definitely go for some questions, which I'm going to try to do in a bit of a lightning round sort of deal. Kind of just
super down.
Kind of so many. But there was one from some. Oh my God, this person's Twitter handle is that vile.
Oh, I love that.
Yes,
that's such a great line.
Firstly, that line when it was written in was fantastic. I think I'm not sure which one of us wrote that. It might have been
a Brian line.
That was a Brian line. That was
sounds
fantastic.
like a Brian line.
But anyways, that vile asks best memories from creating the show. Any season or episode counts.
Oh wow.
Gosh. I mean, the meetup from last year was pretty amazing. I'm sure, like, well, Adam, like for any meetup for you, like anything that anyone's attended, I'm sure ranks up there. But for actual production process, yeah, that's a harder one because there's so many great memories.
I mean, I have a specific one that I guess I could dive into, which is, I've said it before, but I'll always remember very distinctly in my head the creation of the finale of season 1 when we were in the hurricane.
Yeah.
And me and Brian in particular, you know, you got your mom to drive you over with your huge old computer. And
yeah, my dad came. Yeah.
It was your dad. Okay.
I think so. Yeah. It's just in a huge box, my old Mac desktop, which I still have, it still works, to finish the recap because it was literally the last day the power went out in my house and you had the generator. So we plugged it in. I was like, here you go.
It's what, like, Taylor, do you remember? Because I mean, you animated for that episode, obviously.
Yeah.
So, like, how did we do that? I don't even remember.
I remember because it was in the middle of Hurricane Sandy hitting New York and the East Coast that places were going down out of power. It was crazy. It was wild. I think I was lucky enough that we still had a little bit of power, but we were really scrambling. And this was back when episodes still came out like once every month, basically, or once every few months, given a hiatus or two. But we really were trying to get this episode out at a certain date, and with this hurricane hitting us, we kind of like were realizing, oh my God, we're not going to make it. And that was when we released that great video, which Adam, I remember making with you over Skype, where you're like, the next episode is delayed. I still watch that video today, and A, I'm get nostalgic because I remember it, but B, I laugh at it because you're like, haha, gotcha again. And
oh yeah, that went on for so long. I remember that.
You dragged it out for so long instead of just making a general update video. But yes, we had to delay that because of the hurricane. And I remember like locking myself in my room and basically trying to scramble to get as much stuff as I could done. Certain scenes I was getting done in within hours. And it was a long episode. It was the biggest feat that we had hit so far. And I mean, I remember even like the credits. I animated like the credits of the final episode, which I think I was just kind of like, we gotta have great credits, and I threw it together.
Honestly, maybe the best part of the first season, which sounds like a backhanded compliment because that's like the end. But the credits are so good; they're really.
They
good.
are.
I have to point out, your dad wrote Brian in the chat. Brian's dad brought chocolate chip cookies to our house when he came over after the hurricane.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did.
Did he?
I remember they talked. Yeah. Like we made a little thing of it. Yeah, you gotta have fun.
Oh man, that is so funny. That's awesome. Like that for me, definitely. I mean, clearly the meetups too, which we can talk about, but that's burned in my brain, that whole ordeal with the hurricane for sure.
I do want to mention that when we were creating, to go, I can't really single this out as like my best memory or moment, but there was a twinge of absolute excitement when we were creating episode 12, and we were able to find all the old files on your old computer to get together with the old salt and pepper lines and the backgrounds and just making everything look bad. It was really crazy, but I remember listening through the files and finding like it felt like I was dusting off like an old treasure chest, and then I opened it, it was full of episode 1 paraphernalia, voices, backgrounds, even like the assets of Salt and Pepper and Mifone, and all those characters were just like there, and I was like, my God, history. Right
Trip to the archives. No, the craziest thing was finding that line, and I will never get over this because we had that moment with Light Bulb, Salt and Pepper, and you find the line, "Who's that?"
Yes,
and it was amazing. It
wasn't even, we didn't even plan for that. I looked in the file for, I think Pepper says it or Salt. One of those said, and I found in the file, and I found, who's that? And I was like, it's meant to be.
Yeah, for a while we were trying to figure out like why that was said in the first place in that audio file. I don't know if we ever like pieced it together, because I mean it could have been an old script segment, but like where would that fit?
It could have been like, who's that about the host, maybe, and then they see me.
Right, because there was a little bit more to the first episode, right? It was like the setup-y kind of section of the episode,
right? And you know, and then of course my favorite was using that has been Christian Potenza's old line, as Mark Katz eloquently put, line to find him saying "take 2," and that was what sparked the idea of what we see in episode 1 is the second take. But I don't want to talk about episode 12 too much. I want to talk about episode 14.
I do have a question.
That was another thing that fit well.
From Animation Pineapple, did you always have a plan for what the Prime Shimmers would look like in your mind, or was it designed before the episode? So if we want to talk about Shimmers a little bit, because we haven't really gotten to
let's talk about the Shimmers.
That's another that's a lowly Candy asked a similar question about what inspired you to make this cute little egg look like this. So
I mean, I'll say that before, like well before we had even like the script written, I had just like drawn up little sketches of ideas that I had for what the egg could hatch into, and I put a little bit of this on my Tumblr as well. But we weren't too focused on the design for a while, and as I was realizing that we were coming up to the episode where we were going to have this happen, I sat down and I just kind of like drew up a few different designs. And this one I had was like, what if the crack in the egg ended up becoming like the mouth, and then these eyes opened up, and then little legs. And I remember I pitched that, and it spiraled into us talking for a very long time, like I want to say several weeks, about what this species was. And you know, we already had a few ideas about what their history was and what had happened to them, but when it came down to discussing, you know, the species, we had all different ideas of you know, putting this together, and you know, Brian was very specific about having it be more than one entity, and you know, each one of us kind of threw our ideas into a pile, and we kind of handpicked little bits and pieces. And in the end, I remember we had the idea of, you know, the egg having you know, hidden features, like the eyes are in the inside, and you know, that there's this glowing energy to it. That was something that Adam, I remember, was really highlighting.
I really like where we ended up with it, but I also additionally really like the old concept design where it was mostly the same as where we ended up, but instead of like the little light speckles that are really cool that come under it, it was like goop, like goopy energy.
Oh, and well, and that was one of the notes where I was like, hey, cool, but that's gonna be a pain to animate. So
and that's the tricky part for sure. I think it was, with all these ideas flying around, it was kind of the pull and the give and take of serving the story well, but also being technically possible to pull off. Because, you know, as cool as a giant rattlesnake monster dripping with
I was gonna get into that.
That was the other thing.
That was because I think we had a good sense of the backstory for a few years now, but design-wise, we've been throwing around things for many years. One really early one goes back to, I think we always had some idea that the egg would be involved in one way or another.
Yes. That the actual design for how the shell looked was incorporated into how the alien itself looked. That was always.
I do have a mental list of like multiple things that we were like tossing around the time of 14. One of them was one of the older ideas, whereas like each egg would have like two mini creatures, subspecies within it. One was like an eel, and one was like the shell itself, and like the eel would just be, you know, perpetually wrapped around the egg. And there was just a lot of metaphorical stuff going on about like the giver and the taker in a relationship. There was that idea. we were yeah, we're fine to say this. We were considering for a little while, and
this is your big one, Justin.
This one I was pushing for a while. That Baxter would be one of the species of the aliens. So in theory, that would be 3 eggs stolen from the Shimmers, and then Fan would have one, and then Baxter, and then Mystery one. And then the concept there was just that depending on where this crab-like being was born would change its design. So Baxter was a very earthly crab, and the egg would hatch onto the ship, and then it would become like a very techie looking crab. But normally these other crab beings were born on their home planet, which would have a completely different design. That was a fun idea.
Yeah, that was fun.
Brian, there was one about the Meeple logo, if you recall that. How'd that one work?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Honestly, that the idea was again. I was always trying to bring it back to then. It's 2 different beings that come from the egg, because the idea is also it's far away from what fans' perspective that he thinks it is and projects onto it, what it actually is. And what this one was, it was that there's sort of 2 halves of it that when they come together, they form something that is reminiscent of the Meeple logo. And the implication would maybe be like, oh, maybe this is where like Cobb's got the idea to make the company be branded over that, which is really messed up when you think about it. Not only is he exploiting the energy, but like it's literally
what I do like, and I remember when we were talking about the backstory and stuff like that, I remember I took that to heart, because when I storyboarded the backstory part where Prime Shimmer goes into it, I made it very clear that when actually maybe I didn't put this in the storyboard, but I think I might have talked to the animator Potato Awesome about this. But when MiPhone 3GS attacks the planet, they specifically attack one of the sides and basically implement the Meeple logo onto the egg planet. They blow a hole inside of it, basically making it look like the Meeple logo, but implemented on an egg. That was something I remember when I was storyboarding, or when I was talking to the animator. I was like, when the planet is destroyed, it needs to be a hole in the side so it looks just like the Meeple logo.
So wild.
That was one of those things. I remember when we eventually talked about light. That was when we were like, yes, we really, really clinged to that idea, and we loved the idea that these beings are 2 or more inside the egg. These beings are actually the balls of light that are inside and outside the eggs, and the shells are just shells. Including even like the arms and the spears, and even the Prime Shimmer's crown is a being. I think that's really kind of something, maybe
the chains. Yeah.
When a ball of light flies around, that's the being. The shell is just what holds it together. So the Prime Shimmer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 balls of light, one including the crown. While the other ones, you kind of count them up together, and they can have different balls of light and everything like that. And I remember Justin was very particular about like, oh, they could fly in and out, and they could swap places. They could
just very much make sure that it's clear that these are individual species.
Yep.
With each glow itself is one entity, but then they become this hive mind when grouped.
Right, which is awesome. And it was tricky, because I feel like since we've seen the egg since episode 2, it's become a really iconic staple to the show. And so I think it was cool that we were able to work it into the design, to not completely overhaul it and throw it away, but rather work it in. And I think, from a story perspective, it ties in really well. But I like how, with its connection to Fan, it's sort of still the same thing, but it's so far removed from what Fan's initial interpretation was from his projection onto it, that it feels like you feel the impact of him just being wrong, about
you can definitely feel that he very much wanted the egg to basically just be him. There's a lot of projection there in that sense.
The first instinct is to like cower from him, which is heartbreaking.
Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah.
and I think that was a concept from the start. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had that in my head for years. Yeah. So it's a lot. It feels it's just such a weight off the chest to talk about this finally. To like, because we always have stuff we're hiding for episodes, but this was like, there's aliens. Mike Taco ends. Fan is in it. I can't even mention I did voice acting, because if I say that, that's a spoiler for the episode.
Forrest is in the
Same.
episode.
Same with
Yeah.
me. I couldn't say anything about doing just a handful of different lines for paintbrush and toilet.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Oh my
couldn't
God.
say anything. I couldn't. I was very much. I mean, Brian, you joined the crew of having no characters left.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
True. I mean, can I talk about the name really quick? The
Yeah.
Prime
Yeah,
Oh, God.
please. Yeah.
This was great.
So, I mean, before a lot of this happened, I mean, we had come up with the main idea way before this, but we had known that the voice actor Brandon Shim would have been the voice actor for this character because of our Kickstarter campaign and the role that he was the role that he took upon himself in that campaign. And obviously, I think he really brought a character that was really unique and interesting, and I think added a lot of individuality to it. But I thought, we were throwing so many names around, and I can't even recall any of them honestly at this point. But the one that really stuck, it's like, what about the Prime Shimmer, like Shim, as in Brandon Shim? And I think it was thrown out kind of as a joke, but then we were like, oh my God.
I was immediately sold. I was like, that's it. We're doing it. We're set.
Yeah, it kind of was just like you said it as a joke, and we all went, ha ha ha. Wait a minute.
Well, honest to God, that's how a lot of ideas happen in the show, is that they're thrown out as a joke, and then we go, haha, yeah, wouldn't that be funny? And then we kind of pause and go, well, wait.
And that's a lot of our show, honestly. A lot of our show.
Yeah.
I mean,
is that
some
kind
of it's on a go ahead.
No, that's it.
Yeah, some of it's on a much longer term scale of, wouldn't it be funny if we do this silly thing in season 1, and then come season 2, we're like, haha, wait a second. What does that mean? How do we inspect that? How do we change that to fit with our new perspective of the world? And a lot of season 2 is based around that.
Mm-hmm. I do want to quickly throw out, we are going to extend the stream just a little bit, because I see that some people are saying like, oh my gosh, it's going to end. So we're going to extend this just a little bit longer. Since we especially started a little bit later than we wanted. So don't worry, we're gonna stick around just a little bit more.
Yep.
Honestly, compared to other streams though, this technically is operating better than most of them.
Oh, this is the smoothest stream I've had. Yeah.
I do wanna talk a lot more about the Shimmers, because there's so much to talk about, but I do want to address a few other questions, particularly this one from again, apologies if I mispronounce this. Frez Yeti on Twitter asked, what type of Me Phone is the Me Phone shown at the very end of the episode?
Oh yeah.
So a little, I want to just throw out there really quickly that it seems as though most people caught that there is an after credit scene, but if not, definitely check it out.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
We said at the beginning of the stream, but again, spoiler alert, there is an end credit scene. You should go watch it if you haven't already. But the Me Phone at the end is Me Phone 10 or Me Phone X, whichever you prefer. The most recent, as far as I know, Me Phone to date. So yeah, that pretty much answers that. I remember I had the idea for Me Phone 10 so far back. Like I even on like one of the doodles that I put up on my Twitter, I even like hid his sunglasses in there just to see if anyone would pick up on that, and no one did. So that was something where I remember I was like, should I do it? Yeah, I'll do it.
I remember we were in the call when you were designing it, and you were just talking about trying to make it look like it's the furthest removed from like any like human element as possible. And I was like, what? Like maybe he instead of hands, he'd have like, I don't know, like claws for hands, and like went to Google Images, like these kind of claws for hands.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
Like Bender from Futurama.
Yeah, sure.
Or Bender, but something really, really similar. But yeah, I created the kind of like base design for Me Phone 10, like the screen and the glasses and the doohickeys on the screen. And Lauren, our graphic designer, made the claws and the feet. We never got to see the feet, but maybe one day I'll post a picture of those.
They're horrifying.
He has like really cool like it looks really similar to his claws, except they're just kind of applied on the feet and they're pointy and stuff.
I just said claw feet as a joke. I didn't remember what the feet.
No.
But like that's great.
There was another question that I think these are the questions I like, where someone kind of asks us like for significance and clarification on stuff. So there's this one on Twitter from 123 bunch of numbers name, which was there a significance to the camera panning over to Lightbulb when Me Phone was talking about the spaceship?
Oh, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, completely.
Right, go ahead.
the whole thing was with all of the flashbacks that are shown in episode 13. I know some people I saw pointing this out, like on Twitter and stuff. Lightbulb is the one that saw the flashback of Cobbs saying, by the end of the day, I'm expecting a spaceship. And that is Lightbulb like kind of reminiscing, and that like striking a chord of like,
Hearing the
oh
words.
wait, yeah, no, that's familiar.
The
Yeah.
flashbacks are definitely intended to be a significant experience for each contestant, just in the sense that
Yes.
it sticks with them and it resonates with them, and might like have a slight hand in some choices. That's I would say most prevalent with Test Tube and 13, with stuff like I have the means to protect you, reflecting back on how she acts with Fan at the end.
Mhm.
Right.
So it's there's definitely always significance to how the characters relate to those flashbacks that come up, especially more so after the flashback.
There's been a lot of great analysis of that I've seen online, and I encourage everyone to revisit episode 13. Pay attention to who is seeing which flashback, because there's a lot of intention behind each choice.
Totally.
Yeah.
Here's a simple question that can be quickly answered from Lamion Leaf. Asks, I want to ask, how does Lightbulb feel now that she's the only bright light left in the game? The answer is pretty simple. Not good.
Not good.
Very
That's
not good.
no good.
That's no good. She's not feeling so good.
She's I did. I mean, I haven't gotten to talk to her about it yet, but I did. She got an absurd amount of Dr. Fizz, which is as we know.
Oh,
I
dear.
do want to say that it was very intentional that, went between Paintbrush's elimination, when Lightbulb watches them walk through the portal and then is able to lean at least on her remaining friends. At this moment, well, who can she lean on? So she can only just kind of stand and slightly lean on herself.
It was always an intentional part of the episode. I think we hammered it in harder initially, because in the writing stage we're saying things like, well, maybe like she's watching like the Grand Slams, like I don't know, fist bump, have a good time, which of course in retrospect wouldn't have worked anyway, because like Suitcase and Baseball's thoughts on Test Tube leaving just
Right.
doesn't put them in that. Exactly, but like the thought was like, how do we hammer that in? But it's still one of my favorite parts of the episode. It's possibly the part of the episode that gets me the most emotionally, despite the lack of build up throughout the episode. It's there just in the sense of how reliant Lightbulb is on keeping spirits up and then friendship with Test Tube. But she's definitely the lowest key contestant throughout the episode.
I remember the line in the script to describe that part was the last bright light left standing.
Yeah.
Like, we have to do everything.
Script. It's that I can almost remember it word for word. It's like Test Tube and Fan walk together through the portal. Lightbulb watches with a smile on her face, which quickly breaks as she looks down. The last bright light stands alone.
Yes.
Those were the words. When I remember we wrote that, I was like, oh no, we're gonna break some hearts here.
Yeah, and it had to be. We had to live up to that description, and it definitely, seeing the reaction to that moment, it seems like that.
I mean,
Who
you don't
animated that
see.
scene? Was that Alan's scene?
Wait, who animated that part? That was good.
That was good. Oh, great.
Special shout out to Guy Goon.
Awesome job.
One of our new animators for this episode, who took on a tremendous amount of work and did so much work. I mean, everyone this episode did so much work, but Guy Goon was like consistently like, I want to do more scenes, I want to do more work, and I was like, dude, I have not enough stuff to give you, but we were able to he was able to put so much style and so much passion into these scenes, especially that last one. That was so great.
And it came out absolutely beautiful. I can't speak enough to how amazing our animation team is, and just as people too, to hang out with and talk with as well. But just their talent shows on screen so well, and it is really beautiful. I have a great question actually on Twitter that we haven't really talked about. It's from Koala Warrior XD. It's been my dream to be in your live stream, so this is my question. Why did you guys decide Mike had to go? Really hope you guys answer.
Oh, so I mean, we kind of touched on this very briefly before. Microphone, I think we always had the broad strokes of that arc in place, because we start laying the seeds overtly for Taco in episode 7 and like the post-credit scene, but we knew that it would build to a point of Microphone quitting and being the one to kind of cut things off. And it was just sort of like, I feel it was interesting watching people react to when that started being a part of episodes, because I think a lot of people assumed that she would just sort of like make the final two, and it would mirror a little bit like, oh, it's like how Taco got to the final two with OJ. And just like it would be that kind of storyline. But the direction always was Microphone, yeah, she is going to slowly, like, even though she'll develop a bond and be closer to Taco, eventually something's going to break, because the morality is just Microphone's consistently opposed to, and it's been in like every episode in which they've interacted. It's the temporary paralyzer. I don't want to paralyze somebody. I'm not okay with people getting shoved through a portal into another timeline and just disappearing, or like killing Knife on the minecart, you know? So it's been like slowly built up, and Mike's been very active, and like, I don't approve of this, Taco. And that finally, yeah, it hit a breaking point. So
yeah, I definitely know that as far as I can remember, the plan has always been, like you said, Brian, that Microphone would be cutting ties with her, and then eventually, as a result, choose to cut her own ties with the show.
Yes.
And it was never supposed to be like, I hate the show, I'm leaving. She was supposed to kind of come to terms with herself. And I remember that, I also was watched a few reactions where some people were like, it was the right thing for her to do. And that was kind of where our heads were at as well. Which was that, and kind of like what Brian was saying, is that we've had this in our heads for so long that as we've been building her over the episodes, all my mind has been saying was, this is leading up to her moment. This is what's going to happen. And, obviously I have a little more insight on what's going to happen than viewers, but for viewers, like Brian said, it was definitely more of a shock to them to see that Microphone would be kind of taking herself out, especially after cutting ties with Taco. I remember an idea that was scrapped almost immediately was that in her quitting moment, she would reveal who she's working with, but we very much went against that and kind of said, we talked about this earlier in the stream, that she would say a voice in my head, which was something I very much liked that she said, because it also tied in a little bit to some other characters. Like
true.
And it shows that their relationship was real, and there are elements to it that went outside of that alliance. And a lot of Microphone's story, even going back to the very first episode, was that she just really wanted to be heard by people. Which obviously is a play on to the fact she's Microphone. Right. But a lot of people were like, you're too loud, we just don't like this. And it, when she was finally quote unquote heard by someone like Taco, it got her very excited, but took her in a direction where that was something she was obsessive over, was feeling heard. And guys, feel free to chime in if you think I'm wrong on that.
Not at all.
Not at
all. He was
that's
after
why
glory.
Yeah. And after, all was said and done, we just really wanted it to end on the fact that she just really needed to hear herself for once, which she even outright says. So, and just really being able to listen to herself and realize that she's okay without that, general approval. But yeah, and I think that for me, at least, it really ended the way that I really wanted it to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely.
A big theme that we had going into the episode was what is the right thing, and how do characters reach that conclusion? That was a big center point when we were in the outlining phase of the episode.
Was that like the top of the page? Yeah.
Right at the top of the page, and talking about how each character relates to that concept. And a lot of episodes have this some level of a core theme or multiple major themes. And it is very important to us that we were both able to track kind of two similar but slightly different stages of arcs for Microphone throughout the episode. That being, how does she see, how does she feel about what Taco does, and how that reflects on her, and how that changes her, as well as how that reflects on her on a friendship level. And come the end, like whatever's there of the friendship wasn't able to counteract the feeling of betrayal that Microphone faces when dealing with Taco's antics, especially when things happen like Taco pushing her to mess with the rocket. That goes down, and the moment Microphone runs in to save the day and help, she goes, huh. To at least, and concept is she's just saying to herself, hey, my first instinct is to do the right thing. And immediately after that, she's running off to see Taco, who's going to tell her again to do the wrong thing. So immediately she's tumbleweeding into this concept of what do I want to put out into the world? What do I think is right? And that
really well
way through a
There is
spin.
something I totally want to point out, because I feel like not a lot of people saw this, or maybe you just said this, Justin, and I didn't hear it, but the reason why the rocket ship doesn't launch the first time is because Microphone pulled the wire.
I said it, but not as explicitly as that.
Right,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That was something that got missed by a lot of viewers.
Yeah, I feel like that's important to kind of recognize when you look at her arc from as a whole, as when she pulls the wire and it eventually leads to the rocket ship, failing, and she ends up becoming also part of the solution to kind of fix things up, as Justin just said. I'm just not sure if a lot of people, and it's not necessarily like we were trying to spoon feed that sort of message to you that, oh no, the rocket broke because of microphone. It's a little bit of like if you were paying attention to this little subtle detail, perhaps you'd be able to put two and two together.
The important part,
our episodes are kind of.
The important part is her instinctual act to help in that moment, and that's that was the main reason why the big ladder was happening in the first place, because we weren't trying to pay off the gag. It was like Microphone needs a moment when she hasn't been a part of the team, she's been isolated, and if she gets the chance to, she's going to realize how much she likes it, and that she hasn't. That's not what she's been doing.
It works a lot better than it just occurred to me that this is something that we're able to kind of talk about now. Probably the biggest different route we could have taken with this that we were throwing around for a while is, and this was a more major concept when years ago when we had like a larger season concept, maybe like a longer season, that being getting Knife to be a little bit more active alliance-wise, and kind of getting him to be a little bit more part of the team, like at least semi-reluctantly, but then coming to this episode where we get to the point where perhaps we're in and this is years ago, so very different situation, but we get to a point where Mike and Knife are both in a difficult situation when it comes to voting, and Taco makes like a last-second decision to push for saving Knife over saving Microphone. There's like friendship betrayal there. Which I think is very interesting in concept, but the way that we ended up going with it, I think, is so much more tremendously interesting for Microphone finding herself as a person, because there is an act of betrayal within this episode, but it fits so neatly into where Microphone's trying to find herself.
I want to talk about two things really fast. One kind of stems off of what you were talking about, and one is an idea that never ever made it into the final episode, but I want to talk about. But the first thing was that I remember an old idea that I had, which was that the thing that sparked Microphone to, this was before we had the whole episode planned out. This was years and years ago. But I had the idea that during the elimination, whichever one that Microphone would eventually quit at, I had the idea that whatever Taco or whichever Microphone decides to vote for, she goes against what Taco says as per usual. And Taco decides, no, I'm not going to let that happen, and actually hacks into Meatpad during the elimination to scramble the votes and basically make all of them one particular person. Probably the test tube, I think. And I remember it was an idea because it would happen and Microphone would be like, stand up and say, no, that is not happening. I quit, basically, to sum it all up. That was a really, really old concept. Another super, super, super old concept that never saw the light of day, but I remember had been talked about for years, was that with the introduction of the aliens, we had this idea. I think you guys know what I'm going to talk about.
Yes, this was your old idea.
Yeah, this was an old idea I had that I so badly wanted to do, but in retrospect, I'm glad we didn't. I'm happy with the current script. But an old idea was that when the aliens showed up and after they abduct Fan, there was this idea that they could like have the power to basically flip people's personalities. It was there was no real justification towards it other than this is a power that they have.
We were interested in the concept. We never found out how to tie it in with how the eggs themselves work.
Exactly. It was an idea that I had that really had no base to it. It was more like, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? And there was no, there was no reasoning for it. It was just kind of like, oh, it'd be fun. And an idea was that for an entire episode, our characters' personalities, and like I even had the idea of like altering their colors so they looked kind of wrong, like making light bulb like orange and making Knife like pink or something,
and involving Hotel OJ.
Yes, and I also really badly wanted the ship to attack Hotel OJ, and basically like I had this idea where the ship would fire a beam and it would like pick up Hotel OJ, flip it upside down, and smash it on its top, and everyone in Hotel OJ would spiral out, and all of their personalities would be just like warped and distorted and incorrect. And there was kind of this idea that throughout the chaos of trying to get fan back, there's also this extra layer of, oh no, everyone's personalities are incorrect and wrong. And my favorite one of all of it was actually Fan, who would also be affected by this personality switch, that he's no longer a fan of the show, but he's become like the world's largest critic. And he hates absolutely everything on the show, including the backgrounds, including the props, including exactly the way he looks and sounds. Like, he would absolutely hate everything. And it was basically.
Oh
like,
my God! Are you gonna get into how he escapes the situation?
Oh yeah, my idea. And again, this made it sort of into the final episode when he comments about the
minimalism.
the minimalist of the room. Where I remember the way that he would escape being like in the prison was that he'd be like, "Oh, the design for this prison is so bad. I mean, like it looks so flat." And the aliens would be like, "What are you talking about?" And he'd just like walk out from behind it and be like, "That wasn't even layered correctly." Like he would like basically be the worst fourth wall break ever.
Yes.
And you know, we had little things where Lightbulb was no longer enthusiastic, and Paintbrush was bizarre and wild. Knife was like puny and weak, and Test Tube was like stupid. We had all. I mean, I had all ideas, and they never saw the light of day. But I did want to talk briefly that was a fun idea that we almost
if I could comment on that actually, because I love that idea and I think it's great, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, well, why didn't you do that? And honestly, it really came down to that we have such limited time with these characters over the next, even 30 minutes. A lot of viewers are like, that went by really fast. Like that did not feel like 30 minutes. So we just really wanted to take the time to focus on them while we have them.
Yeah, I want to reiterate that I'm so happy with the current script, and I'm very glad we didn't go with that idea because
45-minute special.
Yeah, seriously, like
so
it's quick enough, and I'm sure that if we honestly did go with other ideas, I want to throw out that we see you guys throwing ideas at us like, oh my gosh, have Lightbulb do this fun thing, and then have Me Phone die and do this. It's like, we see your ideas, we love your support, we love your passion, and we love it. We have a plan for our show, and we are so happy that you guys are so excited about it. But please don't be insulted if you shoot us your ideas and say, can you put this in the episode? The answer is unfortunately going to be, well, unless it's already part of our roadmap and our plan, then unfortunately, no.
Oh, you brought up personality really quick off of that. And I assume this is what you meant by piggybacking off of me talking about Knife being part of that alliance. Because there's a concept thrown around that most of the contestants, at least on the grounds, wouldn't be flipped. But the Taco would, and Microphone would, and then Taco would be very season 1 like for the episode. And then Mike would be reeling Knife and be like, please, 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 help me not let Taco get spotted. And a lot of the episode would be like them trying to wrangle up Taco together. Kind of a team job. A lot of weird stuff in the early stages.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone through the craziest concepts between Baxter being potential alien, which no, Baxter's a crap. And other things like characters of personalities being switched, and Microphones calling out Taco and saying, you're bad. But in the end, I am so happy with how our episode turned out, and I'm really glad that it's gotten the reception that's gotten so far.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. The support here in the comments throughout these last 3 hours has been absolutely incredible. This is the unfortunate time where we do need to start to wrap up. But I know that there's something we wanted to touch on before we kind of did that.
Yes. Let's get right into it then.
Awesome.
Something of an announcement. For
something of an announcement. Justin, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, no, I could totally take that. Typically after an episode, we have like a certain amount of materials that we want to get out there that relate to episode 14. That being things like best ofs, animatics, voice acting videos. Those are all coming your way within the coming weeks, months. But that all said, we do have a roadmap right now, and our goal is to, for the foreseeable future, long term, be getting videos out on a weekly basis for every Saturday from this point forward. That being either a video that relates to 14 or something entirely new that we're working on in progress right now, or a live stream. So something coming to you each weekend for as long as we could possibly do that. Which
we have some fun ideas in the works. We won't say anything about that yet, but we're definitely really excited between videos pertaining to 14 and videos not pertaining to 14 and new things. I'm really excited to have some content and have this channel get a little more active, because we know that after 13 kind of had it's the pertained video, videos that matched it or were part of it. This channel kind of died, and a lot of that kind of happened because, hey, we were in school, we were graduating, but now, even though we have jobs, we still want to make time for this channel, and we still want to pump a lot of love into it. And trying to do weekly content is something that we're really going to try to do for every Saturday. So just kind of keep your eyes out for that, and we hope you guys are really excited for that too.
Yes.
100%. Couldn't have said it better myself.
On a similar note, really briefly, I'll plug this really quick. I was working on, if you're interested in a little bit more about sort of behind the scenes of the storytelling aspect and like what went into like the creative process and like ideas, abandoned ideas, or like breaking down characters and stuff. I do have a video on my channel, Falling with Style, that I'm looking to. I think it's about done. I think I'll probably put it out tomorrow. So if you're interested in getting a little more info on that, then you can
that
check
is
that out.
awesome.
Super exciting. Yeah, everyone check that out for sure.
Yeah.
Now we can have Brian's link to the description. Dang it. It's gonna be
Yeah.
Dang it. No.
Sorry, everybody.
And yeah, we will definitely, as I said earlier in the live stream, we'll be linking all of our special guests today that want to be linked in the description, so that you can check them all out on social media. They're all great, and they're a huge part of the reason the show is the way it is. And also you guys are, so thank you guys so much. And that, I guess, is where we're going to end today's stream. So again, thank you, everyone. Seriously, does anyone have any closing things they want to jump in with before?
I mean, I think, yeah, go ahead, Taylor.
No, I was just gonna say that pretty much does it. I'm really once again super happy with the reactions and feedback from 14. I hope we can kind of keep that up, and I hope you guys are really just excited for the future, because I mean I know we are. I know we're really excited to keep moving forward, especially to kind of keep every week to have something a little more fun to look forward to.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'll
quick reminder: when we end, of course, we have to end.
Of course, as always. Yeah. The reaction in 14, as we've said, like, it's really invigorated us a whole bunch, and we'll want, like, we put all of that into the show going forward. And I know, like, sort of the philosophy I always look at it with is, of course, there's lessons that we learn from earlier in the show that we take with us as we continue forward in the behind the scenes process. But it always sort of is like, and I think this was briefly mentioned before too, we look at each episode as it's a new starting point. It's like you kind of break everything down and you have a blank canvas, and it's like, what do we want to imagine? Where should the characters go? And nothing about what we've done before is dictating like the limitations for that. It's purely what we want. It's become a real experimental playground, and I love playing around in it. So
beautiful. Awesome. Very well said. All right, I guess the screaming sensation has to begin. So if everyone's ready,
I am.
We're good. All right, awesome.
Thank you, viewers, for checking everything out. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your viewership. It's time to scream.
I'm screaming.
All right.
Oh yeah.
We always end with a scream in 3, 2, 1. Ah!